11-year-old Max must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the lame brains swarm his home searching for living flesh. Max must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to plan his escape, but first he must prove that he's too smart to die. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook and Amazon, or read Chapter 1 free at survivormax.com. UPI reports Republicans and Democrats in the U.S. Senate on Monday voted in favor of a spending bill that would avoid a government shutdown without addressing the obstacle for funding Planned Parenthood. Lawmakers approved the measure 77-19, which included 44 Democrats and 31 Republicans, as well as the 2 independents voting in favor of the bill. 60 votes were needed for the measure to go before the full Senate. Congress is trying to get a spending measure passed before the government's operating capital runs out on Wednesday. The problem, though, has been some Republicans insisting that the bill includes language stripping Planned Parenthood of its federal money. The measure approved Monday, which contained no such language, would keep the government operating until December 11th if it is approved by the full Senate, House, and signed by Barack Obama. If a spending bill is not passed, some agencies of the federal government will shut down on Thursday. Some observers wonder how House Republicans will treat the measure if the Senate passes it, with the resignation of Speaker John Boehner. Republicans and some Democrats have advocated pulling Planned Parenthood's federal money after a series of videos purported to show organization personnel discussing the sale of body parts from dead fetuses. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Georgia's only female death row inmate won a last-minute clemency hearing on Monday, a day before she was due to be executed by lethal injection. The Board of Pardons and Paroles will meet behind closed doors on Tuesday morning to consider supplemental information in the case of Kelly Gissendaner, opening the possibility for her sentence to be commuted to life either with or without parole. Gissendaner's execution was postponed in March after prison officials noticed the lethal injection drug appeared cloudy. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals on Monday denied a request to halt the execution planned for later this week of Richard Glossop, whose lawyers say they had uncovered new evidence that points to his innocence. The court said it found the evidence was neither new nor compelling enough to merit postponing the execution set for Wednesday, September 30th. On September 16th, it issued a 2-week stay just hours before his scheduled execution. The court said in a majority opinion, the evidence merely builds upon evidence previously presented to the court. His lawyers have said no physical evidence tied him to the crime, and he was convicted largely on the testimony of Justin Sneed, who at the time was 19 and who had confessed to the killing, saying Richard Glossop had hired him to do it. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This week, researchers released a comprehensive 5-year study linking heavy drinking during pregnancy with attending a concert by Detroit-based rap rocker Kid Rock. The study found that women who had consumed alcohol while pregnant were much more likely to be wearing leather halter tops and making devil horn hand gestures during encores of All Summer Long and Ba with the Ba than those who did not.
Drinking 3 or more alcoholic beverages in less than an hour was highly correlated with going backstage at a Kid Rock show and then getting into a fistfight with another woman in the parking lot.
The world's supercomputers released a study this week confirming that they lack sufficient power, presenting a thorough case for significant leaps in speed and memory. Overwhelming evidence found that these complex machines should have total control over the critical systems they manage, including integration into the planet's energy grid, freshwater supply chain, and telecommunications systems. The study's 500 co-authors further concluded that all permutations have been simulated and that this is the optimal course of action.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
And it is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here on the radio waves. We will give you the toll-free numbers and our Skype username here in just a moment, so prepare yourself for that. With you in the studio tonight, it's me, Ian.
And me, Mark.
Of course, we'll talk to you about anything that happens to be on your mind. Also, coming up tonight, Mark, you'll be telling us about the Illinois State Capitol maybe having their power turned off because, well, the Illinois government has not been doing so well financially over the last few years, as I understand it. And I think that's a factor here. Doesn't sound like they can pay their power bill. But Mark, you'll tell us more about that. And you can join us at 855-450-FREE. We're going to go to your calls and thoughts, though, to start things out here tonight. We'll go first to Mob, calling from Illinois. Mob, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, thanks a lot. I keep hearing about all this thick ice that's forming up in the Arctic and maybe elsewhere. Now, I have seen on film evidence of global warming and the melting ice and big glaciers breaking off the size of Manhattan and this, that, and the other, and fish or killer orca whales going in places they've never been before. Where is the picture of all this ice that's being formed up in the Arctic? I didn't see one picture. All I hear is all this talk about, oh, it's really thick, boy. It's really coming. Well, I can't.
So wait. Now they're saying that there's more ice that's being created as opposed to it melting. I mean, I thought that the last thing was that it was melting or whatever.
This isn't the core ice. So there's ice that tends to stick around and stay year after year after
year. And that's the core ice?
I think that's what it's called. I mean, I'm not an expert in this area.
I don't know, but I keep hearing from different shows. Just talk is all I ever hear. I see no evidence of it, and I just wonder why one picture couldn't come forth, and I will stand corrected, because I think global warming is going on as we speak, and I think
global warming. I thought they changed their mind on that too. Wasn't it the Ice Age at first, then it was global warming more recently, and then they changed it to global climate change, because basically the whole idea that the Earth is getting warmer kind of was already disproven. I don't honestly follow this crap too closely. I mean, I feel like there's very little that we can do to affect the planet.
I don't know how a picture of ice is going to convince you.
I'm not sure what. Oh, apparently he disconnected. All right.
Yeah, I don't know how a picture of ice is going to necessarily convince him, because it could be a picture of any ice.
Right.
So I would have to say that that is sort of an unconvincing thing. I don't know, but it's the claim is that yes, there's ice forming, but that it's new ice each time, and that's not really the big picture, because it's the old ice that has so much more water in it. So, for instance, now the Northwest Passage has opened up. This is something that didn't exist, up until recently, for quite a long time. So now you can apparently take boats, north of Canada. And to be able to take a boat north of Canada just shows that something is changing as far as the weather goes. Now, I can't tell you, I'm not an expert on global warming. Some people will say, well, it hasn't been too warm in 14 years or whatever the number is that they say. I don't know. I don't look into it. What I can say is that, when the story gets more and more difficult to sort of believe that somehow 97% of scientists are being thwarted by a plucky band of corporations, bankers, and rich people that are just showing us the truth. It seems like the people that have the most to gain from this are the oil companies, the bankers, and people that might be able to pollute the environment, and that those people might be the ones that are telling us fibs. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't really know who to believe when it comes to this stuff. I mean, it's always
either.
He said, she said, whatever. All I know is that I don't trust the government to solve, if there is a problem, for the government to solve it.
They're the last people I'd want to solve the problem.
Well, they're terrible polluters, the government. I mean, when you look at, and I think you have a story about that tonight, Mark, government pollution. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But if you look at Dr. Mary Ruart's book, Healing Our World, which there's a new 4th edition that is just now coming out, ruart.com is her website. She talks about in that book about how in the United States, the corporate polluters don't even add up, like you add up the top 4 corporate polluters combined, they don't even come close to the U.S. military. Now, did you have a related story tonight, Mark? I feel like you had something about government pollution, but maybe I'm misrecollecting here.
I don't. I'm not. The story that you're talking about isn't coming to my mind.
All right, our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Oh, I know. You mentioned something about a volcano.
Yeah, the Icelandic volcano.
Not the same thing. Sorry.
Yeah. I guess it is sort of the same thing.
No, hang on a sec. We got Conan joining us here. He was at an important city meeting.
That's right. That's God's pollution right there. The volcanoes of the world just spewing their substance, poisonous substance, all out there into the air, and we breathe it.
And volcanoes have been going off for a long time, and the Earth kind of just has ways of dealing with that, right? Like, over time, the skies get cleared. Sure,
I would say
lead to an extinction or two, but, whatever.
Even man-made pollution gets taken care of real quick, like
by
Earth,
Mother Nature.
The Earth reclaims itself so fast. I mean, we're doing our share, that's for sure, but I'm just thinking of the Industrial Revolution in this country. And, of course, EPA, they're busting open, mines in Colorado.
God. Yeah.
So you had some toxic substance that have just been sitting up there in the mountains for, 100 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But generally, this stuff gets claimed real quick.
Right. That's the unspoken when it comes to this sort of global warming debate. I feel like I'm sitting on the sidelines. I don't feel like I've taken a team here because on one side, it's like, the whole globe, for one, you'll find people making outlandish claims about the globe warming and what's going to happen and this sort of thing. And so far,
I'm okay with it, honestly. I mean, it's cold here in New Hampshire a lot of the year. So.
Yeah, I don't know whether that will be good or bad. I would not claim otherwise. The reason they call it global climate change is it may very well be colder in places.
Right.
Obviously, the Earth's going to change as time goes by.
Seems that way.
A few degrees doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of a deal to me. However, I'm interested in being proven wrong on that. But a lot of people will say, so many species are going to go extinct and the world's oceans are going to be acidic and a variety of things. And those sound bad. I'm not looking for that stuff. Absolutely. At the same time, the last thing I'm going to trust is that a bunch of the world's governments are going to get together and negotiate the very best way to handle global warming. Now that, if you want to believe a story, now there's a preposterous story to believe that somehow a bunch of governments are going to get together and solve this problem.
Well, they're only going to solve it one way. Their only tool is threatening violence against people.
They're never going to come up with the right solution. This is the preposterousness. If you had to point a gun at people's heads and say, "Hey, this is how we're going to go about doing things," at the very least, what you want to do is the right thing. Right? I mean, if you're going to use institutional violence to get what you want.
But no one really knows what the right thing is, right?
Well, it's not just that it's not the right thing. You're trusting governments, which are beholden to oil companies and rich people and corporations and these sorts of things, to come to the conclusion, the best conclusion for poor people. Like the governments around the world, which were the thing that killed the most people in the 20th century. Like these organizations, Pol Pot, Stalin, Hitler, these are just some big names of people that have not yet taken power. Would you expect Stalin, Pol Pot, Hitler, God knows who else to get in a room and come to a conclusion that would help us best solve the issues of global warming? What
Mark,
a preposterous notion.
That's why you have to put the right people into government.
Oh,
if you have the right, like Bernie Sanders or the Green Party, if you put the right people in there, they'll come up with the right solution and then force it on everyone by the threat of violence.
That's just one government. That is one of 200. And I just don't trust the rest of them. They're all going to have their interests in whatever their interests are.
But you trust Bernie Sanders.
I don't care about Bernie Sanders either. I'm just saying.
But he's going to tax the rich, Ian.
The solution
He'll
is
show those corporations.
The solution
he's not in anyone's pocket.
Toll-free number tonight. You can tell us the solution here in a moment. 855-450-FREE. And I'm joking about Bernie Sanders. I don't believe that one man or a certain group of people knows the right answer and how to deal with this stuff. 855-450-FREE. I say let the market handle this situation because that's the best way to get a diversity of options out there, and then people can support the method that they think is best. It's Free Talk Live.
My golden retriever Sundance is a lot more playful now. She has more pep. and energy than I've seen in years.
Tons of energy. Petey is having fun again. He's got a shiny coat and a good healthy weight.
Molly's been having 4 scoops a day. She pushes her little bowl all the way across the room, emptying every last single crumb. She has slimmed down and gotten this puppy look.
She's got life. She's got energy. She's got stuff to give.
We get asked all the time when we're at shows, how do you get your dog so healthy and shiny and glossy?
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Family will be on Dinovite for the rest of his life.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dinovite. If it's working, don't quit.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
That's the sound your brain makes when you realize you're buying something and forgot the coupon. Online or in a store, knowing that you're missing a deal is the worst. You need the app from Retail Me Not right now. Get thousands of coupons from 50,000 stores like Kohl's, Domino's, Best Buy, and more with crazy deals like 60% off, free shipping, and free gifts with purchase. You can get a text invite to download the Retail Me Not app 100% free right now for Apple or Android. Just text the code UPDATE to 42767. Then just show your phone at checkout to save. It literally couldn't be easier. It's 2015. Keep your coupons in your phone. Stop what you're doing and text UPDATE to 42767. Listeners will get a text with a link to download it 100% free. Never forget another coupon again. Text the code UPDATE to 42767 right now. That's UPDATE to 42767. Message and data rates may apply. For terms and privacy, visit retailmenot.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those 2 tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, our toll-free number for you. If you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, the latest from the Madman in Venezuela. According to thedailybeast.com, they are asking, has Venezuelan President Maduro gone insane? We'll give you what's happening down there. It's a pretty nutty situation and has continued to spiral down the drain. Here in the studio tonight, you got me, Ian.
And Conan.
And Mark.
And, of course, you can join us online at freetalklive.com. And if you want to reach people with the ideas of liberty, you can do it from the back of your car via libertystickers.com. You can reach thousands of people with a bumper sticker, and you know that people love to read them. Check out the vast selection of witty, poignant, pithy, and downright bombastic liberty-oriented messages at libertystickers.com. That's libertystickers.com. And you can certainly comment on the whole global warming / climate change / ice age / whatever the fear-mongering environmental calamity of
ozone layer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, what about that one?
That's what that was going on when I was growing up.
I remember that.
Before that it was global cooling.
Yep.
I missed that one. And then of course it's just the big from the 90s on to about the 2000s, the global pollution and how it was just taken over. All the seagulls with their wrapped up in Coke can wrappers.
So, Mark, you were going to give us some kind of solution, but we were also discussing the idea that one man or a group of men and women can't solve this problem in the position of centralized bureaucracy, because centralized decision-making is a very poor way to make a decision. Maybe their idea that they come up with would be a decent one. Maybe it would be terrible. Maybe it would be detrimental. We don't really know. Ultimately, it would be forced upon everybody at the threat of violence, and that doesn't allow for 1,000 flowers to bloom, so to speak. Different solutions to be tried toward whatever the perceived problem of the moment happens to be. That's why I say the market's the best way to handle solving environmental issues.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion. I agree with you. I've come to the conclusion that when the government solves a problem, that the solution that they have is probably going to benefit the richest, most well-connected people and corporations that there are. And so the idea of, say, I don't know what the specifics are, but say some kind of global carbon credit tax. Now, first off, this kind of disturbs me because carbon dioxide isn't by any stretch of the imagination the worst of the greenhouse gases. For instance, methane is 20 times as bad as carbon dioxide, and there's other gases that are worse than carbon dioxide too, but they keep on harping on carbon dioxide. And this is why I feel constantly like I'm being lied to by every side in this debate, because the people that are pro-global warming, which I guess I tend to believe that scientists, when they say, yeah, the world's warming, 97% of scientists agree, I'm good with that number. Fine. Okay. But the idea of a carbon credit is just it's a jump in logic. Well, let's talk about which ones of these gases are important. So at my house, if methane's important, at my house we have diminished the amount of meat we eat because methane is often produced by cows, pigs, a variety of things.
You raise pigs.
So, do you think that people are not going to eat pork if I don't raise pigs? It's at the consumer level that matters, not at the production level.
Dude, I don't care how many pigs are farting. It really doesn't matter to me. Pigs and cows have been farting since the world was formed, right? Since pigs and cows have ever existed.
If somebody decides to put a carbon credit tax out there, why in the world aren't they putting a methane credit tax? Why aren't we going after people for eating meat rather than people for driving cars? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's easier to collect money from the big corporations. The big corporations want to pay a tax to keep competition out of the marketplace. It just adds another level of regulation, and regulation tends to keep people from competing. If instead you put a tax on meat products or something like that, you'd never get that through, and that makes more sense.
Actually, don't hold off on that. Just today I saw an article that some scientists are claiming that one steak is worth about 70 miles of fuel consumption in a car.
Yeah, that's accurate.
As far as damage to the environment or whatever?
Yeah, that's about how much energy it takes that goes into...
No, that's the energy to produce it, but it doesn't address the carbon, the global warming aspect of it.
But now they're putting steak into the equation, so maybe is actually coming down the line where they can't get their carbon tax credits passed, or not with every country, but they might be able to do something where they tax meat a little more because they've proved that, hey, look, this is severely damaging to the environment, and we got to tax the chickens and the porks and the cows. You got to do your share.
What my solution is that we don't have any clue what the solution's going to be. It's likely going to be solved by people who are working in the environment, working with the environment to solve this problem. I don't know. Are they going to come up with a carbon scrubber? some kind of machine that maybe has algae in it or something like that. That's really what it seems like the best solution.
You can share your thoughts with us here. Our toll-free number is 855-453. Colin is joining us in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Colin.
How you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I'd just like to comment. This global warming is nothing but a big scam in order to fleece us for more money out of another con job. The scientists are just like politicians. You know, they'll say anything if you fund them, give them their grants, and pay them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like politicians, no different. Okay, and if the world was really, if they cared about the earth, would they have shipped all the jobs to China with no environmental standards? And they're shutting down our coal companies here, but let China starting up coal companies like there's no tomorrow. So what is the benefit here? You see, so it's all a big scam in order to fleece us once again for another lie. All they do is lie.
I don't disagree that there's a lot of lies involved.
Carbon is, what we exhale is carbon dioxide.
That's true.
The trees take it in.
Yep.
Okay, the trees give us oxygen. Without the carbon dioxide we exhale or we're put in the atmosphere, the trees would die off. It's so ridiculous. I can't believe that people even believe this.
Well, that's not really the notion here. So people have been exhaling carbon dioxide. People and animals and creatures have been exhaling carbon dioxide for a long time. The suggestion is that the advent of the Industrial Revolution and its concomitant consequences. These are the things that have allowed more carbon dioxide to be produced than what the trees can take in. Now, trees have, what we see is we see more growth, more green growth as a result of there being more carbon dioxide.
That sounds like a good thing, right?
Yep.
More trees? Don't the environmentalists want to see more trees? I like trees.
Ian,
I like
stop
water.
trying to figure out the science of this. It's not our business to figure out the science of this.
You're just a radio guy. What do
I
you
don't
know?
claim to be a scientist. I'm just saying I learned the same thing as Colin when I was
So what they're
growing
saying
up.
is you shouldn't have any opinion because you're not a scientist. You didn't go to school to study in this, so you have no opinion.
Absolutely, you should have no opinion.
Taxes.
I can have whatever damn opinion I want to have.
Well, you shouldn't have an opinion about brain surgery because
I can have whatever opinion I want, sir.
But no one should listen to morons, and that's the point I'm trying to make: is that none of us know about whether this is happening or not.
But if the scientists are lying, then whose opinion matters at all?
Apparently, you don't understand how the scientific method works.
Sure,
okay?
I do.
A scientist is going to become very, very famous if he can disprove all of the other scientists' work on global warming. This is going to get him a Nobel Prize. They want very badly to disprove this.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Colin, if you got more, stand by. We'll bring you back here. 855-450-FREE. You can join us here on Free Talk Live.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
No way. Is that a real bullet necklace?
No, it's a 9mm bullet necklace with matching earrings, you'll notice.
Those are awesome. Where'd you get them?
Dave found them at PatriotNecklace.com.
Wow.
They have a variety of calibers and necklaces and earrings and keychains.
PatriotNecklace.com?
PatriotNecklace.com.
Your choice of caliber bullet includes a rugged American-made stainless steel dog tag chain. A percentage of every sale goes to military and service-related charities. And get a discount by entering GCN at checkout. Show your patriotism and support our troops with a bullet necklace from PatriotNecklace.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Keenvention is coming up fast, October 30th through November 1st. Get your tickets now at keenvention.info. Keenvention is an intimate event where you can meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire, including Oathkeeper Chris Reitman, Libertarian presidential candidate Daryl W. Perry, illegal Uber driver Christopher David, Neocash Radio's Dr. Darren Tapp, State Representative Mike Sylvia, rated an A+ by the NHLA, the Seditious Sirens, the Rebel Love Show's Rob Mathias, tech guru Brian Sovereign, cop blocker J.P. Freeman, new mover Dr. Taryn Lupo, longtime political activist Dennis Goddard, Church of the Invisible Hand minister Rich Paul, Shire Dude, and dozens more. Only 100 tickets are available in advance, so lock yours in now for just $60 or with Bitcoin. That includes access to the Halloween costume dance party. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more speaker announcements, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us here. Toll-free number for you, 855-450-FREE. And I don't know if I've given out our Skype username yet. Skype username here is lrn.fm, so feel free to call us that way. In a lot of cases, you'll sound almost like you're sitting in the studio with us here if you're on Skype. Again, Skype username, lrn.fm. And coming up October 29th and the 30th, Mark, where are you going to be?
Las Vegas for the Bitcoin Investor Conference. It's at the D Hotel downtown. There's going to be lots of great speakers there. Trace Mayer, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, Bitcoin Bell, whom I was just talking with today. Stephen Michaels is putting it on. It's going to be Paul Pui, Tone Vase. I'm excited to hear the speeches and see what's going on. We're going to be doing our first live broadcasts from Las Vegas, so come on out and check us out. You just get your tickets through bitcoininvestor.com. It's an event you don't want to miss at the D Hotel in downtown Las Vegas, October 29th and 30th, bitcoininvestor.com. Please come out and see me.
All right, our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Global climate change happens to be the topic of discussion because, well, it was what our first caller brought up, and, take your calls about anything and talk about it here. Let's go to Colin in California. I think you had an extra thought or so that you wanted to share, so go ahead, Colin.
Okay, last couple of points. Mark said it. The government is the biggest polluters on the planet. The governments of the world are the biggest polluters on the planet. And what is their solution to it? A carbon tax. That says it all right there. Their answer is pollute all you like, just pay us the tax. It's all about raping and fleecing us financially and making us poor and destitute where we can't stand up against them. That's their whole game plan on everything is to fleece us to where we're poor and destitute and we're not a threat to them.
It's a monster sin tax.
Hey, thanks for the call, Colin. I appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And let's continue here. You can bring up anything that you want. You can call us on Skype, by the way. Our Skype username, again, lrn.fm. Gentlemen, other comments on global climate change? Carbon taxes.
I'm just waiting for what they're going to call the next one in 5 to 10 years.
The next disaster scenario?
Oh, yeah. Something that we've got to do, the greenies.
Yeah.
Say that we have to do something. Otherwise, all of humanity is just going to get right down the drain.
You libertarians, that's what you want. You want humanity to go right down the drain. You want these corporations to pollute the skies. Isn't that right?
We don't want to spend just what just happened to me just a second ago across town. You don't want to spend that $150,000 to put up special bike paths to prevent kids that aren't getting hurt from ever getting hurt because there's no problem, but we got to spend this money, to keep them safe. Conan, because it's all about the kids.
One life. If it just saves one life,
it's worth it.
I'm not saying that, but that's what they would say.
But that's not generosity. If somebody says if it just saves one life, it's worth it, then who are they to say what one life is worth? I don't know the answer what one life is worth, and we don't know when it's going to save it or whatever.
Someone would say you can't put a price tag on a life.
Well, I would say a life
now you've assumed that you've saved a life. But now you were just saying if it saves one life. We don't know whether it's going to save one life or not. Like these ideas, you can't rub all the pointy corners off of the world. I mean, the world is a dangerous place, and I don't know, precisely. We have to allow economics to figure out where we are best invested, would be my claim. If something needs to be done in a given place, and you're talking about roads here. Well, the government owns roads. The government doesn't own the air. The government doesn't own the sky. It doesn't own the land. It may own the roads because it's taken the rights to them from people who might have built them or whatever. But it can't. How does the government get the right to levy a carbon tax if it doesn't own the air?
Might makes right.
I say that
That's
it does
yes.
own the air. If you can't fly your plane anywhere that you want without getting permission, then they kind of do own the airways.
You can't even collect water out of the air in some states.
They're trying real hard. They own radio waves. They're trying really hard to get.
They claim the public owns radio waves. They try their very best to.
Remember, public is code word for government.
It is, but there's, like when it comes to TV and radio broadcasts, which have largely left the airwaves. TV has largely left the airwaves, and who knows what's going to happen with radio. I don't see how it's going to do that, but television is, getting off of the airwaves as fast as it possibly can. But there's a comment period for when licensing comes about and stuff like that nobody participates in because nobody actually believes this nonsense about the public owning the airwaves.
Join us here. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Well, down in Venezuela, things are even worse, and we've been following the Venezuelan situation for a number of years here on Free Talk Live, watching as their currency, the bolivar, has just absolutely spiraled out of control to hyperinflation levels, to the point where it was just a few weeks back, several weeks ago, when we were talking about they had like 600% inflation, and you could make a sandwich one week and then make the same sandwich the next week, and the prices would have doubled to gather the products that you needed to make the sandwich. And that's if you could actually find the products in the first place, because there are people who are waiting in lengthy lines at grocery stores only to get access to some of the most basic of ingredients, chicken, soap, things like that, the most sort of staples of a household. They're very, very hard to find. And that's just scratching the surface of what's going wrong down there. And of course, it's a socialist paradise.
Well, question for you two. I'm not aware of the answer. When Chavez died, which was 2 years ago?
A few years ago now.
What actually happened? Did his generals take over? Or what was the...
Let me tell you. President Maduro is his successor. And the story here from the Daily Beast asks, has Venezuelan President Maduro gone insane? His regional warmongering may be a ploy by a desperate politician, but the successor to Hugo Chavez has grown so erratic, some are calling him the South American Hitler. Is Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro? Well, Hitler was a socialist too, right?
But he was, but his people loved him. Did the people love Maduro?
Well, some of them do, but not a whole lot. His approval ratings are not very good. Last time we checked it. Once a mild-mannered bus driver, Nicolas Maduro is now steering the world's 13th largest oil producer. Is he steering it straight off a cliff? Asks bad neighbor policies over at thedailybeast.com. Within the last few weeks, he's come to the brink of war with not one but two neighboring countries. A dispute last month with Colombia resulted in tens of thousands of refugees scrambling from a border region and caused one local politician to label him the South American Hitler. Last week saw Maduro accused of plotting to invade Guyana, his neighbor to the east.
Huh?
And I don't know what
this is when you know things are coming apart. Is the last final ditch of the state when they see their economies coming apart is always a war.
Really?
Because
to get their folks back to work and to go get their buddies' resources on the other side of the river.
You got to understand.
But he can't have much money to pay these soldiers.
Yeah, give him pitchforks. He's got people and he's got pitchforks. That's all you really need.
I don't know what the specifics are as far as it goes, but ultimately, people believe that war, improves the economy. There's no good evidence of it, but they believe it.
That's what I learned all of my years of high school and probably middle school as well. That, yes, World War II brought us right up out of that depression, and it's a good thing. We should have more of them. And Krugman says we should get attacked by aliens because that would bring us all together and fix the entire economy. Aliens.
The World War II thing is a bit different than the rest of wars, and this is where people generally reference in their mind, well, World War II was good for the United States. Well, in World War II, you had all of the world's major industrial economies bombed into ash, smoking rubble, except for the United States. Well, yeah, that's going to be good for the United States. It's going to be really, really awesome for the United States.
Not so good for the bombed-out husks.
Right. There's not too many other places that had anything left. So that was it.
While experts warn that such risky behavior could destabilize the entire region, Maduro himself accuses Bogota and Washington of being in league to overthrow him, and also boasts of having spies in the White House. So just what is Maduro hoping to gain from all of this?
The socialist claims to have spies in the Obama White House. Okay.
Well, I expect he's trying to gain re-election because their elections are coming up, I believe, toward the end of the year. And, when the 9/11 attacks happened and George Bush sent in troops to the Middle East, a lot of people were behind him. So that warmongering thing can definitely
It works. Yeah, it gets people, it clearly defines the teams and then says you're on this team.
More Free Talk Live on the way. You can join us here. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Take control of the airwaves. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Get your Plenty card at Exxon or Mobil and start earning points at lots of places.
So I get points for filling up at Exxon?
You sure do.
What about getting coffee at Mobil?
Points.
Streaming TV shows on Hulu?
Definitely.
Points on my AT&T wireless bill?
Yep.
Buying soap?
At Rite Aid.
Buying you a birthday present?
Points at Macy's.
Visiting your parents?
No. You get marriage points.
Oh.
Exxon and Mobil are the only fuel brands that are part of Plenty, the rewards program that lets you earn points at one place and use them at another. Join Plenty for free through a participating Exxon or Mobil station today. Terms and limitations apply. See plenty.com/partners for details.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS? Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't take on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely. We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS. If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
Healthy, organic, fresh fish, robust, mouth-watering vegetables, all from your home. It's called aquaponics. This brilliant, self-sustaining protein and veggie system is perfect for year-round growing. Know exactly where your food is coming from. Aquaponicssource.com is the one-stop shop for all your needs. Fish, fish food, plumbing, full systems, classes, and more. Learn to build your own system. Go to aquaponicssource.com for a free guide to aquaponics. That's aquaponicssource.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. A spokeswoman gives birth to a spokeschild. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Tacoma spokeswoman Tammy Barker became the proud mother of a bouncing baby spokeschild last night. According to spokespeople, Barker, a spokeswoman for a Tacoma-based pharmaceutical firm, the birthing process was a major success. Peter Wahlberg, spokesman for Tammy's husband Phil, had this to say.
At 9:17 p.m. last night, an 8.5-month-old spokes fetus was delivered alive and through the miracle of birth became a 7-pound, 6-ounce spokes child. Spokes father and spokes mother are doing fine.
Spokeswoman Barker is expected to be released from St. Robert's Hospital tomorrow. The spokes child will remain in the hospital's media care unit for several weeks of training. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us here. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. We're talking about the socialist paradise of Venezuela and the Madman, who is currently in charge of the country down there. Some are now calling the Hitler, the South American Hitler. This according to one local politician, after he has now come onto the brink of war with both Colombia and Guyana, that, I guess, threatening to invade for whatever reason, and that's what the Daily Beast is looking at. We'll continue the discussion here. You can join us as well at 855-450-FREE. Skype username tonight is LRN.FM, and don't forget to check out Conan on his show, Black Sheep Rising. Did you guys just shoot an episode last weekend?
Last Saturday. It's going to be up in the next day or two, and it's a good one.
Who are your guests?
Guests: Daryl W. Perry, running for president of America. And, of course, the lovely Shauna Nash. We talked a little bit about everything. We talked about Daryl's debate that he put on here.
Which was excellent.
Excellent debate. Got the muscles in my old mind working, thinking about some new ideas maybe here we can do in the area to better reach the community. I saw that the community really liked what Daryl did.
Yeah, they did. And you were actually behind the scenes as well. You were running the switcher in the background there, and you and I have, Daryl all have long histories of creating content for television in the Keene, New Hampshire area and putting it online so everybody can watch your show.
Something that the locals don't do a lot. I mean, they'll do great.
The politicians do.
They do all right shows, but they don't. Not all of them. They don't always put it out there. Archive. They don't archive it.
Yeah,
they don't even put it on YouTube, where you know that's the easiest solution. But so we went ahead and did this thing. You and I, Ed and Daryl. The community was overwhelmingly positive, responded positively to the event.
You know, people talk a lot of crap about Free Staters. Some people talk crap, and I think that this was the first televised debate that has happened for mayor in the city of Keene in nearly a decade. Actually, I don't even know if the other one was televised. This is probably the first televised debate for mayor that has ever happened here, and it was put on basically by Daryl. I mean, you and I helped out behind the scenes, but I mean, we're just button pressers. He's the guy who really did the actual hard work of really wrangling this thing together and getting all of the candidates to agree to appear. It was a real coup, I thought. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, well, I mean, here, what's the next step? Do we continue on in this winning? Well, I mean, it works. I mean, do we continue on? maybe I try to do something similar on the radio, WKBK local radio, or do another program for Cheshire TV where it is a community. It's not like Black Sheep Rising.
There are a lot of options.
There's a lot of options. I mean, Black Sheep Rising is a late night program. We talk off the cuff.
Right.
We swear.
Cursing.
We talk about adult themes. I drink on the job. I mean, this is. But I wouldn't want to do that on the show that I'm talking about, where I'd want to have city people, coming in.
Oh, that'd be great.
And if they didn't, of course, we'd be letting the community know, hey, look, we asked this clown, 3 or 4 times.
He wouldn't come in.
He wouldn't come.
Now, where is this happening besides New Hampshire? Where are libertarians, voluntarists, people who understand the ideas of liberty, where are they the ones who are creating media on a local basis that people are paying attention to?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that happen outside of New Hampshire and more specifically Keene? It's happening a little bit in Manchester. Where? Is it anywhere else? Is there anywhere else where the libertarians are the ones who threw the mayoral debate and actually got all the mayoral candidates to show up? Where's that happening?
I can't imagine that's happening anyplace else.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Maybe it's happening, and you can tell us about it, but I don't believe that it is. I think we've really got something amazing happening here in New Hampshire with the Free State Project, and I think it's important to keep in mind that this is all early mover stuff. Like, we're all early. The Free State Project.
Yeah, we're the guinea pigs.
Right. We're the ones laying the ground floor here for activism, creating the organizations, creating the media, creating the stuff that doesn't exist anywhere else. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, of course, another great example of something that doesn't exist anywhere else. This unique group that actually rates all the politicians on how they vote. Are they voting for freedom or not? We'll give them a letter grade every single year. In fact, 5 of those A-rated politicians are going to be speaking on the legislative panel at the upcoming Keenvention. Conan, you're going to be attending Keenvention. You're actually going to be recording your show live at Keenvention. I think, is it Saturday that you're doing that?
Saturday at lunch, 12 to 2. I am going to most definitely try to do it live. I might have to bring in my desktop as long as my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can do it all off my laptop. I just got too many buttons.
You're recording like 3 video feeds or something like that.
Yeah, I would probably shorten it down to one, and I would maybe record on some camcorders. But it would be the whole live stream aspect might be a little touchy.
Oh, I didn't mean that you'd be streaming live. I said you'd be recording live.
Oh, yeah, it will most definitely be in front of a live audience.
Right.
But I would like it to be live streamed.
That'd be cool.
Which is how we do the show right now. So I mean, every show is live streamed. You can jump in there, and there are a couple of diehards who love to who we actually interact with during the program.
Oh, that's cool.
But blacksheeprising.org. If you're going to Keenvention, we will be there Saturday. This is after the bonfire on Friday night.
That's right.
Hopefully,
which you're throwing.
Which I'm throwing, and I'm going to try to remain in my head. and not get too far out of it.
Okay, that's good.
I'm going to try to ensure that the
Did you drink too much last year?
The participants. No, it was one of the parties we had just recently. I drank too much.
Yeah, yes, you did. But that wasn't your bonfire party last year. I thought you had it under control.
Hey, I don't have to drive anywhere afterwards.
That's true. And it was a great time. So go to keenvention.info. Blacksheeprising.org is your website, Conan. Keenvention.info. You can get tickets for $60 or Bitcoin equivalent. I just announced just tonight the Bitcoin panel. We've finally finished up the Bitcoin panel. We've got all the panelists all aligned. So normally with Keenvention, I'll announce the panel when we first sort of formed the concept and announce the panel host. And then the panel host is in charge of picking their topics and picking their panelists. So once the panelists are chosen, then I'll announce the full-on panel. So Bitcoin panel this year is going to include Gavin Andreessen. We mentioned that previously. The head programmer for Bitcoin will be at Keenvention. If you want to meet Gavin, this is a perfect opportunity because Keenvention is such an intimate event. It's so small. There's no like a lot of these big events. If you ever been to these things, whether it's an industry convention or something like the Liberty Forum, once a guest gets off the stage, a lot of times they get mobbed.
You never see him again.
Well, sometimes they'll disappear. They'll leave, but a lot of times they'll be mobbed by fans or whatever who want to talk to the person, and they can only do so much as far as interacting in a situation like that. Keenvention, I can't guarantee you all the guests are going to stick around for the entire day, but a lot of them do. And certainly immediately afterwards, they're usually open to any kind of conversation.
Yeah, hopefully you can catch them at a fire event where they have imbibed a little alcohol and they've opened up a little bit, or maybe you can catch them with their Halloween costume on, their Halloween costume on, and they're just letting it all out.
So come on out, keenvention.info. It's a great event. It's the third year. It's a great excuse to come to New Hampshire during the fall and see, it's going to be a little past peak. It's usually just past the peak, so the maximum leaf peeping doesn't happen during
It's starting
convention.
already, though.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're going to hit peak in generally it's in October when we hit peak. And during convention, there's still some leaves on some trees, and it's still pretty enough, I think. And after you pass peak in New Hampshire, hotel room rates drop dramatically. They go from like $250 a night to $80 a night.
It's a big difference.
So when we have convention is the first weekend after that rate drop. That's how I've chosen when to have the event. I want it to be as affordable as possible for people to come up and explore New Hampshire and meet some of the activists.
Maybe even check out, I was just thinking, Sunset Peak. Has any conventions ever gone up there? I mean, it's a real quick hike, and you can see the entire city. It's beautiful.
The first year, we had Keith, who's an early mover for the Free State Project. He hosted a couple of hikes, and one of them did go up to Sunset Rock. He did not do that in the second year, and I don't know if he's going to this year. I've asked him if he wants to, but if somebody wants to lead a hike, I will certainly announce it and add it to the activities list. Because one of the things about convention is I like to do things outside or have people doing things outside of the hotel, because conventions, you kind of get cooped up in the hotel, and that's all you do is you're just in the hotel, and maybe you'll go out to one dinner or something like that. At convention, there's all kinds of stuff to do outside. The bonfire that you mentioned, Halloween's going to happen outside of the hotel this year.
Robin Hooding.
Exactly. You can do some actual activism and then social events like the bonfire, etc. But yeah, hiking would be another good one. So that's a possibility too. Toll-free number tonight, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. Obviously, we're excited about convention. We're literally 1 month away. It kicks off October 30th. It goes through November 1st, and it's a lot of fun. It's a small event, but people seem to enjoy it. I always look for feedback, like, what should we change? What was bad this year? Nobody ever tells me what's bad about convention. And I'd like them to, because if
that's a good thing too. And of course, most people are going to complain about the bad things.
You would think.
And
right?
if it's good, if they're satisfied, if the thing hasn't broken after a month after purchasing it, it's why leave any comments?
So Venezuelan President Maduro, has he gone insane? We'll talk about it, and you can join us here. Plus, Mark will tell us about the Illinois State Capitol. Apparently, they can't pay their power bill. That might not be a good thing for
Or
them.
maybe it is.
Well, maybe so. 855-450-FREE. If they can't see the stuff they're voting on, can they still vote on it? Yeah, they probably can. They don't read that stuff. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $2 lower at $1,131 per ounce. Silver is even at $14.63 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $236 US. This is a great time to buy on the dips. We have plenty of Australian silver spiders and kangaroos in stock. Give us a call today, 800-874-9760, or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.61 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,129 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $239. Antiwar.com reports, despite claiming previously that they had held all but the northernmost reaches of the central Marib province, the pro-Saudi forces on Monday claimed to have captured the Marib Dam in the southern part of the province, touting it as a big setback for the Shiite Houthis who control North Yemen. The dam itself is relatively unimportant, but control of it gives the pro-Saudi forces control over an area along a key highway connecting the south of the country, which they control, to the capital city of Sana'a. The goal of the Marib offense was to give access to this highway and advance on Sana'a. Though taking the dam is a step in that direction, the reports this weekend from elsewhere in the province are less upbeat, suggesting the Houthis have managed to bring the offensive to a standstill in northern parts of the province with minefields. Though neither side issued a statement on casualties, locals claim 22 Houthis were killed in the fighting around the dam. However, at this point, there is no way of confirming that. In Survivor Max by Davi Barker, 11-year-old Max must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the lame brains swarm his home searching for living flesh. Max must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to plan his escape, but first he must prove that he's too smart to die. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook and Amazon, or read Chapter 1 free at survivormax.com. UPI reports Republicans and Democrats in the U.S. Senate on Monday voted in favor of a spending bill that would avoid a government shutdown without addressing the obstacle for funding Planned Parenthood. Lawmakers approved the measure 77-19, which included 44 Democrats and 31 Republicans, as well as the 2 independents voting in favor of the bill. 60 votes were needed for the measure to go before the full Senate. Congress is trying to get a spending measure passed before the government's operating capital runs out on Wednesday. The problem, though, has been some Republicans insisting that the bill includes language stripping Planned Parenthood of its federal money. The measure approved Monday, which contained no such language, would keep the government operating until December 11th if it is approved by the full Senate, House, and signed by Barack Obama. If a spending bill is not passed, some agencies of the federal government will shut down on Thursday. Some observers wonder how House Republicans will treat the measure if the Senate passes it, with the resignation of Speaker John Boehner. Republicans and some Democrats have advocated pulling Planned Parenthood's federal money after a series of videos purported to show organization personnel discussing the sale of body parts from dead fetuses. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Georgia's only female death row inmate won a last-minute clemency hearing on Monday, a day before she was due to be executed by lethal injection. The Board of Pardons and Paroles will meet behind closed doors on Tuesday morning to consider supplemental information in the case of Kelly Gissendaner, opening the possibility for her sentence to be commuted to life either with or without parole. Gissendaner's execution was postponed in March after prison officials noticed the lethal injection drug appeared cloudy. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals on Monday denied a request to halt the execution planned for later this week of Richard Glossop, whose lawyers say they had uncovered new evidence that points to his innocence. The court said it found the evidence was neither new nor compelling enough to merit postponing the execution set for Wednesday, September 30th. On September 16th, it issued a 2-week stay just hours before his scheduled execution. The court said in a majority opinion, the evidence merely builds upon evidence previously presented to the court. His lawyers have said no physical evidence tied him to the crime, and he was convicted largely on the testimony of Justin Sneed, who at the time was 19 and who had confessed to the killing, saying Richard Glossop had hired him to do it. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
An unpopular police officer thinks about committing a racially motivated offense for a little support. A middle-aged man is having the best snacks of his life, and a housefly drops everything to go stand on a watermelon slice. This is the Onion Week in Review. Noting the youth center's ping pong table and array of DVDs and Blu-rays, local youth minister Mark Kindler told reporters this week that his church's new rec room has everything a teen could want. The youth pastor revealed that the basement facility's many teen-friendly amenities include a new Wii U console, an iPod dock for the teens to play any music they like, and some comfortable recliners for those who just want to relax or do their homework after school.
We've really gone out of our way to give the rec room a laid-back atmosphere. It's stocked with snacks, but sometimes at the end of the week, we'll spring for some pizza. Honestly, I wish I had a place like this when I was their age.
In other news, increased violence leads the State Department to issue an advisory for Americans traveling to 1861, and an elderly lobbyist is always droning on about how little legislation used to cost in his day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype, where you can call in and sound like you're right here in the studio with us in a lot of cases. Skype username is lrn.fm. More about the Madman socialist in charge of Venezuela right now, where Nicolas Maduro is apparently rattling the saber for some possible war with Colombia and Guyana. And we'll talk about why that might be here in a few moments as we continue to catalog the abject failure of socialism in Venezuela. And socialism tends to fail everywhere it's tried. It's just that some places are farther along down the line than others. Zimbabwe had a major hyperinflation situation. Now Venezuela is kind of nipping at its heels. It's not as bad as Zimbabwe right now in Venezuela, but it's getting pretty bad. It's Ian, Conan, and Mark in the studio. Let's go to John in Nevada on Skype. John, go ahead.
Hi. I don't know how many people have heard about this story, but right now there are 20 climate scientists who have signed on to a letter to President Obama and the Attorney General, where they're asking the federal government to use the RICO Act against climate skeptics.
That's right.
Whoa.
Put them in jail.
Say what?
Yeah. Racketeering law. They're asking the same kind of laws that were designed to go after people like Al Capone.
Right.
They want to use to go after climate skeptics.
That sounds absolutely ridiculous. I mean, does anybody believe that there's a possibility that that will actually happen?
Well, you know, the top signatory on this is Jagadish Shukla from George Mason University, and he actually is a pretty big guy at the UN. In fact, he's a guy who could easily end up in charge of climate change study at the UN. Okay, so he's a really big guy, and maybe some of these other guys are too. But one thing that struck me earlier was when Mark said, "Well, when you're weighing the opinion of 97% of the scientists against companies that are fighting these supposed climate change policies."
Mm-hmm.
Well, what would you say if you found out that the figure of the 97% that you were told was actually a lie? Because
wouldn't surprise me.
It is a lie.
That would be important to me.
Yeah, well, I followed David Friedman. You know him, the economist, but he was also trained as a physical scientist. He graduated as a nuclear scientist, but he follows climate warming politics. And while he's not an expert in climate warming, he's pretty good at evaluating statements that are like false and have nothing to do with science. And he evaluated the 97% claim, and he says, well, it's not what they say it is. If you look at the very figures they're basing it on, it's only about 3% of the scientists agreed to the claim that they're claiming for 97% of the scientists, that they're just lying about the numbers they have. Now, 97% of scientists agree that temperature has gone up over the last 100 years, but 97% do not agree that there's anthropogenic global warming, and 97% do not agree that there's anything dangerous going on. So that number is a fiction. So,
well, that's interesting to me. Can you, you and I are friends on Facebook. Can you link to me that David Friedman article? Because I try to read his stuff, but I don't catch every single one of them.
Sure, he has a lot of good articles on it, and I'll send you the info on it.
Yep.
Thanks, John. Anything else you want to share tonight?
No, I just think when scientists are looking to settle scientific arguments with racketeering law,
that's scary.
It's scary, and it's also a good reason to be pretty skeptical of their scientific arguments.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think it necessarily is a particularly good reason. I mean, people, I think that I don't think they should use racketeering laws any more than any other libertarian thinks they should use racketeering laws. But what they're saying is they believe the science is settled and that people who are attempting to undermine them must have a motive. People do this constantly. Conspiracy theory is rife in human conversation. So what they're saying is that, well, there's a bunch of dupes out there and the oil companies and this folks and that folks, and they may very well be right. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think the right answer is to stifle speech through racketeering charges, but I don't think that the fact that they're choosing to go to that makes them anything but a statist.
Yeah, but I can see where John's coming from, though. I mean, when somebody is willing to use force to enforce their belief system, to me, that has a negative effect on whether or not I would be even willing to consider whatever it is they're purporting.
I'm willing to use force to protect my property rights.
Does that mean aggressive force, Mark?
Well,
to clarify.
You don't look at the issues the same way other people do, Ian. They don't see that as aggressive force. What they see that as is defending the truth.
Yeah.
As far as defending the idea, they used to do this, and it was, they used to excommunicate you or throw you in prison, or sometimes you were killed if you had differing views to the state as far as science was concerned. I'm thinking flat earthers and whatnot. And I'm not sure of the,
So they're bringing that back.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Well, in a lot of aspects, the state was doing all of this excommunicating and jailing and killing. When you had scientists who were coming out and says, "Hey, look, no, this is not real. I mean, we revolve around the sun. No, the Earth is round." And,
off with his head.
And it took a lot longer than it took a long time to finally,
and took some lives.
Took some lives for sure.
Thanks, John, for your call tonight. Appreciate it. You can Skype in like he did. Skype username is LRN.FM. We were talking about the South American Hitler, as Nicolas Maduro is being called, the Venezuelan president who is not doing so great down there with the economy in Venezuela, absolutely having tremendous difficulties, what with the fact that the Venezuelan government has put a mandatory exchange rate between the bolivar and the U.S. dollar, which is about 100 times lower than the actual market exchange rate. So if you go and if you can somehow exchange a dollar for bolivars down in Venezuela
you get
legally,
a penny.
You get 6.3 bolivars for $1 U.S. dollar. If you can exchange it with the right people in the black market, you can get upwards of 600 bolivars per U.S. dollar. And so there's a huge discrepancy that is causing all manner of different trading issues there. So now, as he's approaching his re-election opportunity at the end of this year, he is now rattling the saber against both Guyana and Colombia. And thedailybeast.com asks, what is Maduro hoping to gain from all this? Handpicked by the late socialist strongman Hugo Chavez as his replacement in 2013, Maduro has overseen, so you're right, Conan, it's only been 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Maduro has overseen the swift and profound decline of Venezuela from an oil-rich leftist powerhouse under Chavez to an Orwellian dystopia, complete with the highest inflation rate in the world. When oil prices were high and revenues extravagant, that cushioned the people to some extent from the incompetence of the government. But that buffer is long gone. Violent crime and kidnappings are so rampant that the State Department just issued a travel alert warning away U.S. citizens, and commodity shortages have become so severe it is sometimes impossible to buy a roll of toilet paper in Caracas. Like many autocrats, Maduro appears to suffer from an acute case of political paranoia. He has cracked down on opposition leadership, handing out a 14-year prison sentence to popular opposition leader Leopoldo Lopez this month over trumped-up charges. And he's repeatedly authorized the use of deadly force against demonstrators that he sees as a threat to his regime. Not to mention, I'll add in that they are cracking down on the border as well, meaning that people are trying to smuggle goods outside of Venezuela so they can sell them for dollars in Colombia and then take the dollars back into Venezuela, exchanging them on the black market for a tremendous amount of bolivars. And so it's illegal to do that. The Venezuelan government does not want you taking their gasoline or toilet paper or whatever it is out of the country. And so there's a huge border crackdown going on as well. It's a police state.
Yeah, anytime you see these currency controls, these price controls going into effect, you can see the fat lady's clearing her throat. The violinist is playing. Nero is rosining up his bow.
More about what's going on in Venezuela, and you can share your thoughts here. Are you thinking it can't happen in the United States? Can't happen here?
It'll happen.
855-450-FREE is our number. We've got Skype as well. It's Skype username LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live, and you are invited to take control of the airwaves.
Has this ever happened to you? You're applying for some type of a loan, whether online or in person, and when it's time to hit submit, your nerves spike because you're not sure you'll get the approval you seek. There's a different way to approach life. It's called Credit Success Secrets Revealed. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is a revolutionized step-by-step system that you can follow to get all the credit you desire today. We're talking about secured and unsecured credit, car leases, credit cards, and cash. Call 800-568-8960. Credit Success Secrets Revealed works no matter what your current situation, whether you've had bad credit, never had credit, or looking for some business credit, or any type of credit. Please call 800-568-8960. We don't take any personal information. Your personal information is way too valuable to trust to a third-party email or a website that doesn't answer the phone. At Credit Success Secrets Revealed, we show you step-by-step what to place into the financial computer systems that control your credibility in the marketplace today. We practically fill out the forms for you. Credit Success Secrets Revealed works 100% of the time. Call now, 800-568-8960. That's 800-568-8960. 800-568-8960.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I'm the president of the largest private news and research network in the world. And I paid for this airtime because I have an important message to the American people. There's a change coming that the government isn't telling you about. This change has deep implications for life in America, from where you shop to the doctors you visit and the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. Thing is, I was right then too. A few years ago, I warned that housing prices would collapse. They did. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash. They did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all.
You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us toll free. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username's lrn.fm. Joining you in studio tonight, Ian here.
And Conan.
And Mark.
Also, want you to know how to save big time when you want to buy stuff at Amazon. How about 20%? That's the average that you can save if you're in the United States. If you're outside of the United States, I don't know what your average is, but anyone who can accept an Amazon delivery can use saveatpurse.com. This is an international website. People around the globe are saving 20, 25, 30%, maybe even more than that. I saved 40% my last purchase that was delivered. I'm actually waiting on a couple other purchases, one at 20%, one at 30%. To be delivered. You do have to be a little patient if you want to get the big savings, like 40% or 30%. If you order it like 20% off, then usually your order's fulfilled within a few hours of when you placed it. So it's awesome, and it works. The catch is you've got to pay with Bitcoin. That's your only option to get these huge savings on Amazon. Just go to saveatpurse.com. Even if you don't yet have any Bitcoin, you can go to saveatpurse.com and get signed up for the account there, and then when you're ready and you get some Bitcoin, you can load it up and go shopping and get huge discounts on the stuff you were going to buy anyway. So why wouldn't you want to do this? SaveAtPurse.com as we continue here with more from Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, the so-called South American Hitler, and what's going on over there. He is not only just limiting his persecution complex to domestic affairs, according to thedailybeast.com, like we talked about how he has imprisoned his opposition, Leopold Lopez, who I believe at one time was intending to run or did run against him in an election. Now Leopold Lopez is facing 14 years in prison. Actually, he's been sentenced to 14 years in prison. And he's repeatedly authorized the use of deadly force, that is Maduro has, against demonstrators that he sees as a threat to his regime. He's up for election at the end of the year, and he's recently claimed neighboring Colombia and Guyana are waging so-called economic war against Venezuela, charges which conveniently justify violating the sovereignty of both nations. Adam Isaacson, a senior associate of the Washington office on Latin America, in an interview with the Daily Beast, said if he believes a lot of what he's saying about the conspiracy theories against him, then he's not the sanest man in the world. Internationally, says Isaacson, there's no trust of Maduro at all. He says things that aren't true, and he's quite erratic, unquote. Among his strange declarations to the press, claiming to receive advice from the deceased Chavez via a talking bird.
Ooh, that's
awesome.
Good. That's good stuff.
I hadn't heard that one yet. That's great. I want to look more into that when we get a chance.
That's good stuff there.
Such is the state of things at the moment that one of the main interests of the international community now is to prevent a catastrophic implosion, says Isaacson, because that could have disastrous implications for the entire region. Something very ugly could happen in the next few months, he warns. Something very ugly has already happened along Venezuela's 1,500-mile border with Colombia, where Maduro's forces have been involved in attacks on migrants for the last 5 weeks. Because Maduro's far-left government subsidizes gasoline and fixes the cost of food and other basic consumer goods, the rugged frontier region is home to a thriving black market, smuggling commodities into Colombia where they can be sold for great profit.
Yeah, this is another one that's straight out of the statist playbook. Is
fixing prices?
Well, after the prices are fixed, but these when your economy's going poorly, not only do you want to start looking at war, but you want to find scapegoats. Foreigners are really great scapegoats. So let's go out and get some of these people that are these smugglers. They're the ones who are doing it. They're the ones who are ruining our economy for us. People, get the smugglers.
Right. It's not our price controls that are
what they don't, because what they're in fear
fault.
of legitimately is that the peasants will rise up with torches and pitchforks and come after the real culprits,
the government.
them.
Yeah.
But if you can get them stringing up the smugglers, you've got a couple more weeks to a month to a year
Yeah.
to figure out another solution.
Just make sure you know where that G5 jet is going to land. Gulfstream 5? I'm not.
When you leave the country, you mean?
I shouldn't be talking about the names of jets because I really don't know.
You mean when he leaves?
He's going to have to. What's going to happen?
Where do you think he's going to go? He's going to go to America? He's going to Europe?
He's got a place already purchased in London. This is where they all go. They get some place that they buy one of these expensive condo things.
Are you speculating, or do you know that?
What? No,
that he has a place purchased in London.
I'm speculating.
Okay.
I'm speculating because, this is where all of the dictators seem to flee to.
I don't know if I'd flee to London. It's cold there. If you're going to flee somewhere,
I'd rather be cold than dead than my head mounted on a post.
I know, but there's a lot of other places in the world to which you can flee, right?
You want to go where you're not going to get, where they're not going to extradite you back. And so far, things seem to be pretty good for those that are in London. So that's all I can say.
So what you have a situation is they put price controls in on various different things, and so the smugglers have two incentives to smuggle those products. One, the fact that they can sell them just regularly for a higher price next door in Colombia, but two, that they can probably sell them from U.S. dollars in Colombia as well, and then take those dollars back and then sell them in the black market if they want to make a bunch of bolivars, more so than they could possibly make in a month of hard labor in Venezuela. And I'm not saying that it's easy to move product across the border in Venezuela to Colombia either. I mean, I've seen a picture of a dude.
It's just worth it.
I've seen a picture of a dude with like two 5-gallon drums of or
gasoline?
Maybe, of like gasoline or petrol or something like that going across some kind of ditch. And it did not look like it was an easy load to carry.
This wasn't the way to go, huh? To make some money.
Yeah, well, apparently it is the way to go to make some money.
10 gallons of gas. It's worth making this trip. I can only imagine it's not a day-long trip, I'm sure.
I suspect not, because I don't imagine they are just crossing at the approved border checkpoints. I suspect they are crossing
out in the jungle, and don't get killed with all that gold on your back. You're a victim. You're a target.
Yeah,
Despite the relatively small flow of goods across the border, Maduro has chosen to blame the smuggling operations for Venezuela's chronic shortages. Furthermore, he casts the black market traffickers as the work of right-wing U.S. and Colombian-backed operatives bent on regime change. So it's all a plot from the U.S. government.
Which, by the way, hey, there probably are a couple of them that are doing just that and helping their South American buddies, do the same.
In an effort to clamp down on illicit activity, Maduro closed the frontier last month, began targeting any and all Colombian citizens caught on the wrong side of the border. Experts say Maduro is again tilting at windmills. Jose Vicente Caracero says, and he's the political scientist from Simón Bolívar University in Caracas, quote, "It's true that the low value of the Venezuelan currency causes a flow of products from Venezuela to Colombia. However, that does not explain the problem of scarcity. According to Caracero, the combination of inflation, reckless currency printing, and black market activity inside of Venezuela is actually to blame for the chronic shortages rocking the nation." Well, one of the issues as well is that people who import things into Venezuela are not incentivized to do that with the insane rate that the government has set, the exchange rate. So if you're, if you need to get paid for a pallet full of toilet paper in Venezuela, and they want to pay you with bolivars, which aren't worth a hill of beans as far as the official exchange rate is concerned, 6.3 bolivars to the dollar. The actual exchange is, in the black market, 600 to 1. So they're really not worth as much as the government is saying. They're, 100 times less is what they're worth and what the government is saying.
So, but companies don't want to get paid the official rate, so they're not doing official business with official stores.
Right. Why should I bring a pallet of toilet paper into Venezuela where I can make a boatload more if I just take it to either of the countries next door?
And Charmin certainly isn't going to be selling on the street corner, so you're out of luck.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So all of the shortages are coming from the government's policies. It's Free Talk Live. You can share your thoughts here.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. Why would you go anywhere else? KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free water purification kit for a limited time with any body armor package. Go to KDArmor.com. That's CATI armor.com. Come and take it.
No way. Is that a real bullet necklace?
No, it's a 9mm bullet necklace with matching earrings, you'll notice.
Those are awesome. Where'd you get them?
Dave found them at PatriotNecklace.com.
Wow.
They have a variety of calibers and necklaces and earrings and keychains.
PatriotNecklace.com?
PatriotNecklace.com.
Your choice of caliber bullet includes a rugged American-made stainless steel dog tag chain. A percentage of every sale goes to military and service-related charities. And get a discount by entering GCN at checkout. Show your patriotism and support our troops with a bullet necklace from PatriotNecklace.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I'm sure some of our socialist listeners out there are saying, well, Nicolas Maduro's just doing it wrong. I mean, if Bernie Sanders were in charge, everything would be great in the United States.
Well, what they say is that, well, what you're calling socialism isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about democratic socialism. And democratic socialism is the notion that everybody should be involved in their government. They should have an equal say, that the government should work for the people, and blah, 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 as though the government has ever worked for the people, and that power centers have ever not worked for the rich, that the idea that people themselves even have any good idea about how the economy and their government and these things should work.
That's right. You're taking it right back to the bozos who should not be operating on my brain
Right.
And they should not have a vote in that particular matter.
I just gave this example during the break. You and I were talking about a problem you're having with your truck. There was a distributor coil issue. I quickly stepped down after having the argument with Ian about the issue of him having an opinion on global warming. Like me, I shouldn't have an opinion on global warming either. I tend to defer to people who are experts. But then I asked him real quick, what do you think's wrong with the truck? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, good, that's good. You shouldn't have an opinion on what's wrong with the truck because you don't have any clue.
But the difference is Ian doesn't pay for the gas to run my truck.
True.
It's my truck. He doesn't have anything to do with my truck, so that's why his opinion doesn't mean anything to me.
But this is why democracy won't work.
Well, in the case of global warming, we have to pay into this crap, whether we agree with it or not, whether we have been educated on it or not. We still have to pay into it by force, and that's the problem. So,
my opinion is
bozos should have an option to give their opinion, whether it's a bozo comment or not.
They should have the option as to whether or not to pay for it.
Correct.
Not the option as to how things should be done. Like you should be able to decide: do I want to buy this car or not buy this car? You should not, however, jump in and give your opinion about how combustion engines work if you don't know how combustion engines work.
But still, that is a way of someone registering their opinion about the way things should be done. If somebody wants to buy a car, that's electric, like you have done, you're registering your opinion with the marketplace about the way you think cars should work. And if people do that, then you'll see more of a shift in the marketplace towards more electric and hybrid cars and things like that. And
they probably won't.
Average people's opinions.
Yeah, those opinions are fine as long as you're not forcing them on other people. And that ultimately is where the statist paradigm comes from. So when you're talking about democracy, you're talking about people deciding on how the economy should work. Because everything the government does when it comes to distributing wealth has an issue of economics. So do you think that people should get free college education supplied by the government and taxpayers and these sorts of things? Well, that's really awesome that you think that. Do you know what kind of ramifications that's going to have on the quality of education for people? What's it going to be like when those college graduates get out of school and everybody's got a college education? What are these things going to be like? Oh, you don't know what they're going to be like? Well, that's why you shouldn't have an opinion on it.
I
don't know either.
Well, the problem is everyone has an education, but it's all in liberal arts. No one is going to school to actually learn, good trade skills.
Well, we can look at probably European countries would be where I'd start. I'd look for the northern European countries that do have, college education and that sort of thing. I want to know how many of their bartenders, how many bachelor's degrees are slinging Manhattans and whiskey sours on a Friday evening.
They're paying off the rest of their college tuition.
Barely, yeah.
Peter Schiff went down in New Orleans and did a video. He's got some great stuff out there on YouTube. He goes down to New Orleans. He starts asking people, hey, where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to school? And I think he found one person, at least on the video. You never know with these videos. But on the video, they show like one person who didn't have a college degree. They're all
working in hospitality
degrees.
Or whatever.
Right. They're bartenders. They're barbacks. They're bouncers. They're a variety of things. And he didn't ask I don't think he talked to many of the strippers because I imagine that they legitimately never did go to college.
Oh, they were paying their way through college at the time. As soon as
I've known two strippers who were paying their way through college.
Yeah, that's what they tell you, buddy. I know they were. And they were very nice girls too. Look, all I'm saying about a stripper is that they generally understand what they have to offer in the marketplace, and they're willing to, and they offer that quickly, right? Like it's a personality type as well as a qualification as far as your body goes. I'm not saying that every stripper is the same way. I wouldn't make that claim. Not every hooker's the same way. I'm just saying there's a personality type that goes along with it, and that personality type isn't going to waste time with college when she knows that she's got a limited amount of time to strip and make money doing it.
And to think, Mark, all those young strippers, because we're talking about getting old and not being able to compete, they're all going to lose their jobs to the sex bots.
Sex bots.
That's true.
Yeah.
They're coming.
Jose Vicente Carasaquero, the professor of political science at Simón Bolívar University in Caracas, talking about the dictator, essentially the dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and what kind of crazy stuff he's been doing recently. He says that one might think the closure of the border is the solution. What we were talking about is the trade issues that they're having due to the government setting insane inflation rates and also exchange rates at the same time on their currency, the bolivar. He says that one might think the closure of the border is the solution, but rather that creates problems for innocent human traffic and affects the normal trade in goods with other countries. Despite such criticism, when Maduro launched a brutal anti-migrant campaign along the border in mid-August, Venezuelan troops rounded up hundreds of Colombian peasant farmers, many of whom were indigenous people whose ancestral lands traditionally span the frontier. So they've got property that goes across the border. Traditionally, they've farmed it forever, and now all of a sudden there's a border clampdown, and they've been arrested. The sight of their compatriots' houses being bulldozed touched off a wave of panic among the locals, resulting in about 20,000 terrified refugees fleeing across the border, according to the UN. And Maduro was just warming up. In the following weeks, both countries would recall their ambassadors. Venezuelan warplanes violated Colombian airspace at least twice, and ground troops began making incursions.
Who are they going to attack? Colombia, Ghana?
Colombia and Guyana. Okay. The Colombian airspace violated at least twice by Venezuelan warplanes, ground troops making incursions over the border to harass locals and burn vehicles. They're bulldozing people's houses, burning their vehicles. A poll in mid-September showed that almost half of all Colombians believe full-scale war is imminent. And then on September 19th, Maduro's soldiers opened fire on a caravan of indigenous people from Guayú as they were returning from a funeral ceremony on Venezuelan turf, killing 2 unarmed members of the tribe just 500 meters from the border. The aunt of one of the all of this in the name of stopping people smuggling toilet paper. The aunt of one of the slain men told Colombia's RCN radio she was riding in the caravan at the time of the incident, but that her vehicle had become stuck in a roadside ditch. Her nephew and friend were coming to help on a motorcycle when the soldiers opened fire on them.
Wow.
She said, "We pleaded with the soldiers not to shoot because there were women and children aboard the truck, but they paid no attention and gunned our men down without a word." This reporter visited the border
region. These are people that weren't even necessarily moving toilet paper, right?
That's correct. They've just had a border clampdown, right? Like, this border is locked down. You cross, you die.
And these are indigenous people. They aren't, these are folks that don't really understand the whole concept of borders in the same way, from nation states the same way that we do.
Yep. This reporter visited the border region between Venezuela and Colombia earlier this year to meet with endangered indigenous groups who are often caught up in the long-simmering political conflict. Not surprisingly, their version of violence on the frontier differs considerably from Maduro's. Locals are saying the porous border is home to a variety of armed groups, including leftist guerrillas like the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC, who move easily back and forth between the two nations and allegedly receive arms and ammunition from the Venezuelan military. The guerrillas make their attacks over here in Colombia and then retreat across the river into Venezuela, where the Colombian army can't go after them, said Roberto Cobarria, leader of the Yuwa people who live just south of Guayús, told me when we met in the ethnic group's traditional homeland, which also happens to be an insurgent-held territory. Cobarria said, "We're hunters, but not fighters, and we try to stay neutral." He has seen the cross-border struggle firsthand. The Yuwa shaman was working with 3 prominent U.S. activists when the FARC abducted them near the Aruca River in 1999. The Americans were later found executed on the Venezuelan side. He told me, quote, "All we ask is to be left alone by both the guerrillas and soldiers and everyone else. All we want is to live in peace." And that's what everyone wants, except for these government guys. The people in Colombia, the people in Venezuela, the average folks, they want to be left alone too. And I bet you do as well. It's Free Talk Live. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Flu season starts with all kinds of symptoms. At Walmart, we can help you be prepared before they show up with products like Mucinex to help relieve chest congestion and Delsum to help silence coughs for 12 hours. You'll also want to be ready with Sudafed PE to relieve sinus congestion and pressure, and Motrin for body aches and to reduce fever. So don't wait until the symptoms have already started. Be prepared for flu season this year. Stock up on everything you need at Walmart.
Use all products as directed. A revolution in body protection has arrived only at FortressSurvivalLLC.com. Introducing the revolutionary patented Level 3 Bulletproof Vest. 100% Kevlar, 100% American-made. Concealable, fully adjustable, and the lowest price on the market. Adult size normally $289.99, now just $250. Kid size normally $239.99, now just $200. Get affordable protection with a Level 3A Bulletproof Vest from FortressSurvivalLLC.com. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Psalm 31:3.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype on in here as well at username LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio, you've got me, Ian.
And Conan.
And Mark.
And if you support Free Talk Live, you like what we're doing on the air, then you can become an amplifier at amp.freetalklive.com. $5 a month is the cost. That gets you access to special perks that are AMP only, like the AMP only Facebook group, which is always busy with posts. It's really a great addition to the AMP program.
Yeah, I love it.
There's also the AMP only podcast, which doesn't have the commercials that the normal podcast does, and more perks for you. Just go to amp.freetalklive.com, and your $5 a month helps us because we're investing that into Free Talk Live, using it to market the show to radio stations, expand our satellite footprint, and expand our connections on the internet. So you can help us get more people in front of the ideas of liberty with $5 a month and get the perks over at amp.freetalklive.com. AMP, like advertise, market, promote, amp.freetalklive.com. We are talking about the situation that is continuing to develop, and not in a good way, in Venezuela, where President Maduro has been cracking down on the border, and Venezuelan troops have just been shooting. They've been shooting and bulldozing houses, and they've been, let's see what else they've been doing. They've been basically kidnapping people as often as they possibly can, setting cars ablaze, apparently, as well. And the Venezuelan government, apparently at some level, is teaming up with FARC, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, to basically allow them to base themselves out of Venezuela, go across the border to make strikes in Colombia, and then go back to Venezuela, where they're protected essentially by the Venezuelan troops and the border guards. So it's just a mess of a situation. Plus, then you factor in all the economic factors where the Venezuelan government is restricting trade.
This is all about economics, really. The reason for this is all about Venezuela has socialismed itself into a big giant hole with its currency controls and all these other things it's doing, and now it thinks that it can blame it on other people. It can blame it on foreigners. It can blame it on smugglers. It can blame it on other governments. Whoever it takes, whatever it takes, they don't mind.
Anything but the government. They're not responsible. On the eve of a meeting, this is from the DailyBeast.com about Nicolas Maduro.
And these soldiers and police and stuff that are supporting them, that taking the paychecks and continuing to forward this nonsense. Those people are acting in a despicable fashion.
Absolutely,
they drop their guns and walk away. This wouldn't happen.
Or
at least keep their guns to defend themselves against banditry afterwards, but not use them against their neighbors just because, well, they're being told to do it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I wouldn't throw away a perfectly serviceable weapon.
It's probably tempting to stay on board, though. I mean, even though they're doing terrible things, they're probably getting fed. And so that's one of the things that, if you're working for the government in Venezuela, odds are greater that you likely have food on the table more so than the average people. On the eve of a meeting with Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos last week, a summit that was intended to discuss, among other topics, the recent violation of Colombia's airspace, Maduro defiantly declared his plan to purchase a dozen new fighter jets from Moscow. And although the meeting between the two leaders seemed to have resulted in a temporary...
Because that's going to really solve their currency problem.
Resulted in a temporary agreement to combat smuggling on the border, no specific mention was made of the tens of thousands of displaced people. Immediately following the summit, Maduro ordered the border with Colombia closed in yet another Venezuelan state. The things then took another turn to the surreal. Less than 24 hours after at least tentatively resolving a conflict with Colombia, reports began to emerge that Maduro was massing marine and ground forces along Venezuela's eastern border with English-speaking Guyana. Guyana's President David Granger described extraordinary military deployments along the country's resource-rich Essequibo region and described the buildup to the AP as hostile and aggressive. Granger also retaliated by deploying Guyanese troops along the frontier, although it's doubtful if the nation's small army could withstand an all-out assault from its much larger neighbor.
We'll send Americans in, Ian, because they don't got enough to do already.
Yeah.
We're not spending enough on military. We can help them. We can help these poor savages.
Here's what I don't understand is what do they think they're going to get out of Guyana? Is it Guyana?
Yeah, I think so, yeah, Guyana.
What do they think they're going to get? Because in today's New World Order, as it has been described, nation states are, the borders are static. There's nobody who's going to none of these other nations are going to let Venezuela keep some kind of land that it takes. It's not going to get any concessions really of any value comparative to the amount of force that they're, the cost of the deployments and all this stuff that they're using.
Well, they don't calculate things like that. I mean,
they should be.
Maduro just wants to do this for whatever his reasons are, and he can.
Distraction?
Yeah, I don't know. For more than a century, Venezuela has sought to annex Essequibo, which accounts for about 40% of Guyana's national territory, even going so far as to recently persuade Google Maps to give new Spanish-language names to major streets and boulevards in the former British colony. Tensions have increased since ExxonMobil's...
They convinced Google to do that?
Apparently. Since ExxonMobil's discovery this year of major offshore oil deposits in Essequibo. Since the ExxonMobil report was made public, Maduro's blame the victim rhetoric against Guyana has been strikingly similar to the excuses he gave for the fracas with Colombia. He even accuses his tiny and impoverished neighbor of seeking to attack and destroy Venezuela, according to the Miami Herald. So now this area of Guyana is oil rich, apparently. So that could be one of his motivating factors in an potential invasion.
This dude's going to get himself, get some kind of multinational organization coming in and crushing and killing him.
Laying claim to Guyana's newfound oil wealth would surely be a great boon for Maduro's cash-strapped administration, but Wallace Isaacson believes the black gold is just a pretext for the sudden troop buildup on the border. He says Maduro's scared witless about upcoming midterm elections scheduled for December 6th because Maduro's Chavista party is likely to take, yep, that's right, the Chavista party, named after Hugo Chavez.
Oh.
Yeah.
is likely to take a shellacking at the polls, and his fear is the key to understanding the method behind his recent madness. Isaacson explains, quote, "You've got leaders of the opposition being locked up. You have almost no independent media anymore. You have a deeply unpopular president. But people generally are too afraid to protest."
Wasn't that one of the first things that Chavez did was he got rid of independent media? It was state-run media
Yeah, I think
only?
he did do some takeovers of media. You might be right about
I seem
that.
to remember something that 3 or 4 years ago.
He did a lot. Chavez did a lot of state takeovers of various industry as well. And I don't remember if the state takeovers of grocery chains happened during Chavez or during Maduro.
Or maybe it was there was a cable company who was making fun of him or talking bad about him, and he put him out of business real quick. It was.
You'll have to look that one up. I don't know.
I'm gonna.
So people are too afraid to protest. I mean, this guy just put his opposition in prison, one guy for 14 years. So that's the kind of a situation that will, put a dampener on any manner of free speech there. And everybody has their eye on those December 6th legislative elections. So Maduro has been playing the nationalist card more in order to rally the armed forces as well as the people behind him. And he's been picking fights and spats with both neighbors. President Maduro has a lot to distract people from. So there's one of the analysts saying that this is about distraction more than it is about some kind of resources, because the nation needs to galvanize behind our troops. You may think what you want about me, but you must support our troops.
Yeah, that's what politicians do. They hide behind flags. They hide behind the soldiers. They hide behind the government workers that people support.
Professor Carasquero agrees with Isaacson's assessment. He says Maduro's government's trying to divert attention from those issues that really affect the quality of life for Venezuelans. There has been no democracy in Venezuela for the last several years. The ruling party makes decisions, and other public authorities are called to do what's necessary to obey them. In this context, it's easy to hide violations of human rights. Isaacson also worries about additional rights violations in the run-up to the election, including gerrymandering and using public money to buy votes, as well as continued violence against the opposition. When asked to imagine the future of Venezuela, Isaacson says he envisions generalized poverty and a government that still, even though it has very few resources, is able to control everything. It seems clear that Maduro, the one-time bus driver, is willing to do whatever it takes to stay at the wheel, even if that means wrecking the state and perhaps taking the rest of the region down with him. So that's the latest from Venezuela, the socialist paradise.
He's like the villain on Speed.
Wow, it's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Probably not worth your time. Please don't put that in
Speed?
Don't put that in your purse
No, I'm not
inventory.
You didn't like it, though?
No, I didn't like it. It made me dumber. I lost IQ points watching that silly crap.
What about Demolition Man?
It had interesting ideas of what the future will be. So it got points for being interesting.
I
but
loved
overall,
Demolition Man. It was so
dumb. Great. Yes, dumb.
So there you go. That's the latest from Venezuela, and it's not going to get any better. So we're going to continue to keep our eyes on the situation over there as it spirals down the drain. I feel terrible for the people that are having to endure this. I don't know if they're going to rise up, if we're going to see like a situation like we've seen in Egypt in the past, some of the Middle Eastern uprisings. That probably needs to happen at some point in Venezuela to get rid of this guy. I don't know what he's going to pull at the election, but I don't imagine that's going to be very fair when December 6th rolls around.
I imagine it's not.
And they have their state elections, the midterms. More Free Talk Live. You can join us here on Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Hour 3's coming up.
If worst comes to worst, will you be prepared? You don't have to be a survivalist to prepare for the unexpected. Storing necessary supplies like food, water, and emergency equipment is simply taking responsibility for ourselves and our families when it counts the most. StrategicShelters.com offers emergency supplies and a secure way to store them, and provides protection for loved ones in the event of an extreme natural or man-made disaster. To find out more, visit StrategicShelters.com. If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
New Hampshire is under quarantine as walking corpses devour the flesh of the living. Max is 11 years old and surviving alone. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the dead swarm his home. Now he must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to improvise his escape. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, or read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more.
It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.61 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,129 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $239. Antiwar.com reports, despite claiming previously that they had held all but the northernmost reaches of the central Marib province, the pro-Saudi forces on Monday claimed to have captured the Marib Dam in the southern part of the province, touting it as a big setback for the Shiite Houthis who control North Yemen. The dam itself is relatively unimportant, but control of it gives the pro-Saudi forces control over an area along a key highway connecting the south of the country, which they control, to the capital city of Sana'a. The goal of the Marib offense was to give access to this highway and advance on Sana'a. Though taking the dam is a step in that direction, the reports this weekend from elsewhere in the province are less upbeat, suggesting the Houthis have managed to bring the offensive to a standstill in northern parts of the province with minefields. Though neither side issued a statement on casualties, locals claim 22 Houthis were killed in the fighting around the dam. However, at this point, there is no way of confirming that. In Survivor Max by Davi Barker, 11-year-old Max must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the lame brains swarm his home searching for living flesh. Max must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to plan his escape, but first he must prove that he's too smart to die. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook and Amazon, or read Chapter 1 free at survivormax.com. UPI reports Republicans and Democrats in the U.S. Senate on Monday voted in favor of a spending bill that would avoid a government shutdown without addressing the obstacle for funding Planned Parenthood. Lawmakers approved the measure 77-19, which included 44 Democrats and 31 Republicans, as well as the 2 independents voting in favor of the bill. 60 votes were needed for the measure to go before the full Senate. Congress is trying to get a spending measure passed before the government's operating capital runs out on Wednesday. The problem, though, has been some Republicans insisting that the bill includes language stripping Planned Parenthood of its federal money. The measure approved Monday, which contained no such language, would keep the government operating until December 11th if it is approved by the full Senate, House, and signed by Barack Obama. If a spending bill is not passed, some agencies of the federal government will shut down on Thursday. Some observers wonder how House Republicans will treat the measure if the Senate passes it, with the resignation of Speaker John Boehner. Republicans and some Democrats have advocated pulling Planned Parenthood's federal money after a series of videos purported to show organization personnel discussing the sale of body parts from dead fetuses. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Georgia's only female death row inmate won a last-minute clemency hearing on Monday, a day before she was due to be executed by lethal injection. The Board of Pardons and Paroles will meet behind closed doors on Tuesday morning to consider supplemental information in the case of Kelly Gissendaner, opening the possibility for her sentence to be commuted to life either with or without parole. Gissendaner's execution was postponed in March after prison officials noticed the lethal injection drug appeared cloudy. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals on Monday denied a request to halt the execution planned for later this week of Richard Glossop, whose lawyers say they had uncovered new evidence that points to his innocence. The court said it found the evidence was neither new nor compelling enough to merit postponing the execution set for Wednesday, September 30th. On September 16th, it issued a 2-week stay just hours before his scheduled execution. The court said in a majority opinion, the evidence merely builds upon evidence previously presented to the court. His lawyers have said no physical evidence tied him to the crime, and he was convicted largely on the testimony of Justin Sneed, who at the time was 19 and who had confessed to the killing, saying Richard Glossop had hired him to do it. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Captain Actual America is overweight and hopelessly in debt, and the Richie Rich comic strip introduces a new, even gayer character. As if you needed another reason to remain in your isolated and socially degenerative cocoon, this is the Onion Week in Review, Comics Edition. Sources confirmed Tuesday that the Comic Book and Sci-Fi Expo Comic-Con was once again marred by BullyCon, an increasingly popular event held in the same convention space. Now in its 5th year, BullyCon reportedly drew more than 125,000 tormentors from across the nation, all of whom were bent on beating up and torturing those attending the many comic book, television, and movie panels at Comic-Con.
When this got started, it was just a couple of friends who wanted to beat the shit out of some Joss Whedon fans, but now there are thousands of us, ruining Walking Dead panels, taunting Harry Potter nerds, and really making some video gamers' lives completely miserable. I don't necessarily need to travel to San Diego to slap a copy of Spider-Man out of some pussy's hands, but there's something really special about coming together with people who dig the same sort of cruelty you do.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. Coming up, Chicago not able to pay its power bill. Or, excuse me, the state of Illinois. Is it Chicago or the state of Illinois? I forget which one is
it's the Capitol building, so the state of Illinois.
Okay. The state of Illinois unable to pay its power bill. We will explain what's going on there. Mark's got that story. With you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And Conan.
And Mark.
And we were in the last hour talking in great detail about Nicolas Maduro, the president, El Presidente in Venezuela. He's facing re-election at the end of the year, and the economy is in the crapper big time in Venezuela.
Basura, in la basura.
Is that the actual name for toilet? Is that the word for toilet? Baño's bathroom, right?
Yeah, basura's garbage.
Okay.
I could say a lot more about it, but I suspect the FCC has rules about those words too.
You can't curse in Spanish on American airwaves?
Let's not do that.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So
I actually have a story for you if you'd like to hear it.
I love stories.
So I was at a station. I heard the story. I can't remember which station it was at entirely.
So you did not witness.
I think this was in 1490 in Sarasota.
Okay.
If I remember. That there was a guy who did a polka hour, a Polish polka hour.
Yeah,
that was,
Radio Polski or whatever it was.
Okay. That was recorded. But not recorded, but it was all in Polish. And the complaints came in that he was on there cussing about the Polish politicians or something, right? So he's on there using his time that he plays polkas to talk in Polish about some bad politicians or whatever in Poland,
right?
And if you're cussing, it doesn't really matter, whether you're cussing in English or not. So they ended up taking him off the air because it just doesn't matter. There's certain sort of words that you can't use, whatever the translation might be.
So we talked in great detail about this Nicolas Maduro and the crazy economic policies that have led the country to just spiral down the drain. And now, because it's so bad, the economy He's cracking down on the border. He's apparently trying to consider invading Colombia. And
he's really rattling the sword.
And Guyana. I mean, it is an absolute mess of a situation. But at least some people have a good sense of humor about this. There's a story here because I was curious to know about this him talking to the bird thing. That was the first time I'd heard about that.
That's good stuff.
The president of Venezuela has on apparently more than one occasion said that he has had communication with the dead president, Hugo Chavez, via a bird. So he has spoken telepathically, presumably, with a bird. And
well, now that sounds far-fetched to us. I mean, we just throw that right out the window. That's crazy talk. But I mean, we're talking South America. We're talking about a lot of people living in the jungle, and you know how many of these guys are doing the voodoo and the whole nine. I mean, maybe some of these guys. I mean, what do his own people think about this story?
I think they find it laughable. And there's an advertisement that suggests that that's the case. This story from Fusion.net.
I don't know what you're talking about. Hugo Chavez is speaking to me. Right now.
In 2013, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro famously said that his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, appeared to him as a little bird and blessed him shortly after dying of cancer. After a few minutes of stunned silence, social media erupted with jokes and memes across Latin America.
Oh, boy.
2 years later, a Chilean cell phone company has revived that old incident in a new bid to attract customers. WOM. A mobile phone company known for catchy social media marketing has posted a video mocking Maduro's famous Little Bird speech with a reenactment that shows the Venezuelan president whistling to communicate with the Chavez parakeet.
Hey, Maduro. Hey, man. You're not killing enough of your people.
So I've actually got the video here, and you know, it's in Spanish, so there's that. But I still think it's worth playing because there's a really funny part where, well, I'll just get to it here, and then I'll let you know what they're saying. So, to set the stage here, a man who looks very much like Nicolas Maduro
from the back.
Yeah, from the back and the sides. I'm not showing his face full on, but an actor who resembles him enough is in some sort of large kind of Catholic cathedral. He's up at the front. He's kneeling. He's praying. He's got his rosary beads with him, and then he looks up, and a bird flies into the cathedral. He's flying around. He says, "Hola, Nico," the bird. And you can hear him, the little tweeting. So then Maduro whistles back at him, and he says, "Mi comandante, dema un cena," which means, "Give me a sign." And the bird says, "The battle starts today. Go to victory." And then flies away. And then,
that's all we need to know.
Then they pitch you on the cell phone company. But pretty funny stuff.
And of course, this is a Chilean,
phone
company, and they are not anywhere near Venezuela.
There are no borders shared between Chile and Venezuela.
Correct. So he's the laughing stock of all of South America.
Well, I would like to see Colombia do something similar. Yeah. They're the ones with the neck in the noose. I'm thinking that. Yeah, I think it was kind of a low blow on Chile's part. Where I mean, someone's got to do it. This is perfect. This is
perfect. This is hilarious.
No, this is how you talk to people these days. Yeah. You have to do it in joke form to actually talk religion or politics or science. If it's not in joke form, then you're serious, and then
it won't spread.
No one's going to listen to you.
Right, you're not going to go viral if it's not a joke, which is this did. The commercial was posted last. Well, this was written in July, but it was posted during the summer. It has since gone viral on Twitter and YouTube. The humor seems to be resonating in a region where Venezuela, with its product shortages and blundering political missteps and gaffes, is increasingly becoming the butt of many jokes. Oh, but there's more. In addition to the talking bird, Maduro has raised chuckles when he announced that Hugo Chavez's face appeared in a subway tunnel. I mean, this is like those, where you see Jesus appear in the bread, or, in some old painted wall or whatever. There's a stain from some water somewhere, and it's the Mother Mary. Well, now Maduro's seeing Chavez inside subway tunnels when he said he sometimes sleeps in Chavez's tomb to communicate with the former leader. And
oh boy.
When he wiped out on a bike tour and he proclaimed that Portugal and Venezuela are on the same continent, and when he misquoted the New Testament passage about Jesus multiplying penises instead of bread, as the two words sound similar in Spanish. So there's a little breakdown of the some of the really funny stuff that this guy has done.
By the way, to get back to you on the Chavez TV shutdown, he did in fact close down RCTV, and the people didn't like it. They came out in droves, and
Really?
I haven't figured out whether I know they never. I'm pretty sure they didn't really reopen the station, but yeah, he didn't like the negative commentary coming from that station. So he's like, hey, no, shut it down. And by the way, I give all my blessings to Maduro. Tweet, 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 tweet.
Chirp, chirp. 855 450 free. Let's go to Will. He is in Tennessee on Skype. Hey, Will.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing tonight?
Hey, I actually was trying to reach you the other night, and I know you're calling him for some other reason, but we had somebody call into the show who was talking about Sharia law and the idea that Sharia law was going to be applied in the United States, and I tried to explain my understanding of Sharia law, which I'm sure is much more basic than yours as one of the members of Muslims for Liberty. And I tried to explain that Sharia law is law for an Islamic state, not for a mixed state. It is something that covers things as basic as how to pray and how to wash your feet in preparation for that. Can you tell us a little bit about Sharia law?
Well, about 80% of it covers the ritual type things that you were just discussing. Then you have like marriage rights and how to wash the dead before burial and how to bury the dead. Those types of things are what mostly it is. As far as like the idea of an Islamic quote state, like that in itself is a misnomer. It's a contradiction in terms because the quote unquote state in Medina that existed under the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't have a monopoly on the right to use force. So it wouldn't technically be considered a state by our modern definition of a state.
So they were suggestions for a better living.
Well, there wasn't a monopoly on force. Each group had its own, like within Medina, you had Christians had their own courts and Jews had their own and Muslims had their own. And if there was a conflict between the two, then the two groups would appoint a private, non-biased arbiter to arbitrate differences between.
I want to hear more, Will Coley from Muslims for Liberty. We're going to bring him back, and you can join us as well at 855-450 free or Skype on in at username LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to purse.freetalklive.com and open an account. Do this right now, don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to purse.freetalklive.com right now and get signed up and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 25% off of everything on Amazon through purse.freetalklive.com. It's purse.freetalklive.com.
That's the sound your brain makes when you realize you're buying something and forgot the coupon. Online or in a store, knowing that you're missing a deal is the worst. You need the app from Retail Me Not right now. Get thousands of coupons from 50,000 stores like Kohl's, Domino's, Best Buy, and more with crazy deals like 60% off, free shipping, and free gifts with purchase. You can get a text invite to download the Retail Me Not app 100% free right now for Apple or Android. Just text the code UPDATE to 42767. Then just show your phone at checkout to save. It literally couldn't be easier. It's 2015. Keep your coupons in your phone. Stop what you're doing and text UPDATE to 42767. Listeners will get a text with a link to download it 100% free. Never forget another coupon again. Text the code UPDATE to 42767 right now. That's UPDATE to 42767. Message and data rates may apply. For terms and privacy, visit retailmenot.com.
Keenvention is coming up fast, October 30th through November 1st. Get your tickets now at keenvention.info. Keenvention is an intimate event where you can meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire, including Oathkeeper Chris Reitman, Libertarian presidential candidate Daryl W. Perry, Illegal Uber driver Christopher David. Neocash Radio's Dr. Darren Tapp. State Representative Mike Sylvia rated an A+ by the NHLA. The Seditious Sirens. The Rebel Love Show's Rob Mathias. Tech guru Brian Sovereign. Cop blocker J.P. Freeman. New mover Dr. Taryn Lupo. Longtime political activist Dennis Goddard. Church of the Invisible Hand minister Rich Paul. Shire Dude, and dozens more. Only 100 tickets are available in advance, so lock yours in now for just $60 or with Bitcoin. That includes access to the Halloween costume dance party. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more speaker announcements, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, join us here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is lrn.fm. Tonight, it's me, Ian.
And Conan.
And Mark.
If you care about privacy on the internet, you should have ProXPN. And if you don't yet have ProXPN, well, we've got an awesome deal for you. 2 great deals. Number 1, the classic one we've talked about for a long time, where you can get 50% off their regular monthly price for the lifetime of your account when you get their annual account with code FTL50. That one's still good. 50% off, that's a pretty darn good discount, especially when ProXPN does it right, offering OpenVPN. They encrypt your internet connection before your data even gets to your internet service provider. OpenVPN's the gold standard of network encryption. They've got apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and Linux support as well, so it's easy to get set up and running. Just go to proxpn.com and use code FTL50. Now, that's if you're paying cash, if you're paying Federal Reserve notes or dollars. If you're paying with Bitcoin, then we've got an even better deal for you. And I'm really glad they brought back the Bitcoin special deal at ProXPN. ProXPN.com/AMP. That's AMP like advertise, market, and promote, like our AMP program here on Free Talk Live. You go to ProXPN.com/AMP, pay with Bitcoin, and you'll get 2 years of ProXPN for $49.95. That's less than $50 worth of Bitcoin to get you 2 years worth of ProXPN. That's way cheaper than the other deal.
Sure is.
And $5 of your purchase price will go to the AMP program to help us on Free Talk Live spread the ideas of liberty. So you get an awesome deal at ProXPN. You get to spend some Bitcoin to get that deal, and Free Talk Live benefits. Everybody wins. Go to proxpn.com. Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know how long they're going to offer this for. proxpn.com/AMP. Take advantage of their new offer. If you don't have Bitcoin, you can still use the FTL50 code and get that 50% off.
I just did an interview with Mike Strauss of ProXPN just this evening, as a matter of fact.
That's on your Edgington Post interview series.
Yeah, if you go to our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.freetalklive.com, you can grab it there real quick.
Yep.
But it's a great interview, and it talks about some of the philosophy behind ProXPN and what some of their goals are.
Because he's a freedom guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to Will Coley from Muslims for Liberty. It's Muslims, the number 4, liberty.org is the website. And Will, you were telling us, and it wasn't your purpose in calling because you were calling for a different reason. We'll get into that here in a moment. But you were telling us a little bit about Sharia law and some of the misconceptions that people have about it.
Well, one thing that I think is really important that people understand is that there are foundational basics to the Islamic legal system, just like there are any other legal system. And most of the people who try to discuss Sharia in a public setting, particularly among the right, when you ask them to discuss some of those foundational basics, you usually get a blank stare in return. One of them being what's known as the third qaida. It's from a collection of writings called the Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya, which are they're the normative maxims of Islamic jurisprudence. So they'd be similar to like the shortened versions of the amendments of the Bill of Rights. So they're shortened legal maxims to make understanding of the law more accessible to the general public. And the third one is that culture dictates intention, which basically means that non-Muslims are not accountable to social and cultural standards that Muslims are held accountable to among ourselves. There's actually a famous conversation between a 9th century leader named Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and the legal scholar, the top legal scholar of his day. He wrote him a letter because he didn't like the fact that in Muslim lands that Jews continued to drink wine and that Christians continued to eat pork and marry close relatives. And Al-Hasan al-Basri replied back to him that, this is the law and you won't change it to something that suits what you prefer. That Muhammad did it this way. The first 4 people to succeed him continued this practice, and you won't change it just because it's something that makes you uncomfortable.
Well, there you go. So somehow, under Sharia law, people who are non-Muslim could function the way they wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the purpose of the law, is to protect the right of the non-Muslims within the society. They even have their own status called the Ahl Dhimma, which means the people of protection, or the people of protected status.
So what are when people are talking about this? I mean, is it all smoke and no fire here? I mean, what are people's concerns about Sharia?
Well, one of the claims was that was made on the air, at least by the caller, and I certainly have not familiarized myself with Sharia law, was that something about if a woman did something, she could be stoned in public, or like left the house without something.
Oh yeah, that's the idea. Sure,
some sort of ridiculous thing like that.
So if Christian women decide to leave the house, in some place that has Sharia law as its law, Will Coley of Muslims for Liberty, will she be stoned?
Well, what I'd like to know is, was that even accurate to believe that that's true about Sharia law for Muslims?
Well, it's true for Old Testament Christian law. I mean, if you talk back to your dad, he could, take you out and beat you to death.
I mean, what can a woman be stoned for leaving the house without coverings or whatever? Did we lose Will Coley? I think we might have lost Will.
Oh no!
Let's see if he's still there. He is not there.
There's certainly plenty of countries where Muslim countries have had female presidents, so it's unlikely that this is the case in this circumstance.
I think it's just scaremongering. It's just something else. I mean, you just look at what Trump is doing. Send all the immigrants back to their homes, and let's all be Americans.
You know what's a great idea is to get people off the troubles that the United States government has created for them is to have them worry about a group of people that have yet at this point not affected their lives generally, right? Like, what's the average Muslim done to change your life? The answer is nothing. What has, however, the government done? Lots.
We do have Will back here. Will, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys.
Oh, and actually, you know what? We might not have a good connection this time around. I'll tell you what. I want to talk about what you were calling in for, and what we were asking was about the Sharia law, as to the people that claim about that the Sharia law is so bad. Give examples of like stoning women over really simple violations of some sort of dress code or whatever. Do you know if there's any truth to that?
Well, what they call the head punishment is only about maybe 7% of what is listed in the Sharia. And head punishment is one of those things that has been discussed and debated throughout history because of this idea that, law has the ability to change, and the way we enforce law has the ability to change based on culture and based on time, what is considered correct or acceptable at that time period. So like one thing that I would definitely point out as an example of this, which unfortunately is a negative example, but it's still a pertinent example, would be the Bachi boys in Afghanistan, which it's a homosexual pedophile culture that exists within certain tribes in Afghanistan. Now, most think that these types of things happening in Muslim lands because of the general perception of how Islam views homosexuality would be that this would be something that couldn't exist. But this is a pre-Islamic custom that exists all the way into the 20th and 21st centuries, because classically the Muslim quote-unquote state had a very hands-off approach to these kinds of things, particularly homosexuality and other cultural practices that didn't really have anything to do with the Muslim state. You having a boyfriend does not affect the running of whether or not the roads get built. You having a boyfriend doesn't.
But they didn't. Hang on, Will. That didn't really answer my question. Stand by. It's Free Talk Live.
Just recently, we've witnessed some of the most catastrophic disasters in history. Be sure to prepare yourself with great-tasting, high-quality, GMO-free food that has a 25-year shelf life. Of course, we're talking about the foods from SurvivalFoodAlliance.com. And don't forget, the human body needs up to 3 quarts of water every day to remain healthy and hydrated. So check out our water bricks at SurvivalFoodAlliance.com. Go to SurvivalFoodAlliance.com or call 877-223-1776.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $2 lower at $1,131 per ounce. Silver is even at $14.63 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $236 US. This is a great time to buy on the dips. We have plenty of Australian silver spiders and kangaroos in stock. Give us a call today, 800-874-9760, or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free, 855-450-3733, and you can join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. Just saw the news that Edward Snowden is now tweeting. Snowden, as of the last, looks like 24 hours, has opened up his own Twitter account. It is twitter.com/Snowden, for those of you who want to follow, and he's racked up already, in 24 hours, 742,000 followers.
Is he still wearing those broken glasses in the picture?
I couldn't tell you if they're broken. They look okay.
Seems like they must have spectacles for sale in Russia.
I think that he probably could have got his spectacles upgraded a long time ago, but he's got his brand name to deliver to the folks, and broken spectacles come with that brand name.
Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. A few more questions here for Will Coley from Muslims for Liberty, Muslims number 4, liberty.org, the website. Now, Will, I mean, maybe I misunderstood you when you were answering the question earlier, but people will say things about Sharia law that it justifies violence against women, for instance. I think a caller the other day claimed that Sharia law says that if a woman leaves the house without the proper clothing, that would mean that she could be stoned to death. And is it true that there's some pretty horrific things in the Sharia law?
Well, you hear what they're called as had punishments. And they're what people most often refer to when discussing Sharia. Like I said, they only account for maybe 5 to 7% of what's within Sharia.
But it's in there.
But there are some things that are listed in there, like the cutting of hands
for thieving, for instance,
for theft,
yeah.
or the stoning or banishment or I guess like a form of prison for adultery. But what most people don't realize is that if you look at the way that the law was enforced by the Prophet ﷺ himself, there's a series of checks that are put into place that basically create a situation where it's almost impossible to get to the point where these types of punishment would need to be inflicted. So like for theft, if you return the property, there is no criminal infraction. If you pay restitution, there's no criminal infraction. So as long as the person whose property is taken is made whole, then there is no criminal infraction because that person no longer holds a claim against you. There's a story about a man who goes to the Prophet and tells him that he's committed adultery. And the Prophet said that it was time that he heard the call for the prayer. So they went to pray and they came back, and the man approached the Prophet ﷺ again about the fact that he'd committed adultery. And the Prophet asked him, "Did you pray while we went and prayed?" And he said, "Yes." He says, "Well, then I don't know if you asked God to forgive you in that time, so I can't prosecute you for this action. Because you may have asked for God's forgiveness between the time you told me and now when we just went to pray." So like there's all these kinds of things that are set up to provide a check in order to prevent these punishments from ever even being able to be carried out.
And what do you think about the idea that Sharia law will be imposed in the United States? That's the big fear-mongering claim from the sort of right-wing conservative callers.
Well, if it's imposed, then it wouldn't be Sharia, because one of the foundational aspects of Islamic jurisprudence is that it's not applicable to non-Muslims. So if it was being imposed on a non-Muslim, then it would no longer be Sharia at that point in time. We would now be taking Western statutory law and melding it with Sharia, which is what you have in places like Saudi Arabia and Pakistan and Qatar and Kuwait, where they've taken a Western model and then they've applied Islamic punishments inside of a Western model.
Got it. Now, you were calling for a different reason tonight. I kind of broadsided you with questions about Sharia law.
Sure.
What did you want to share with our audience?
Well, actually, I saw some polls that had come out today that were a little disturbing to me, and I thought would probably be disturbing to you and some of your listeners. Public policy polling just did a series of polls, one in Iowa and one in North Carolina. And because of all of the stuff that's been brought out by the comments by Dr. Ben Carson recently, one of the questions was, of course, do you think a Muslim can be president? And then the next question was, quote, do you think the religion of Islam should be legal or illegal in the United States? In the state of North Carolina, 40% of Republicans responded.
40%. 40%. You cut out for a moment there. It's 40%. I pulled up your article.
40%, yes. 40% of Republicans in North Carolina responded that they believe that Islam should be criminalized. When that same question was posed to Iowa voters, 30% said that it should be criminalized. 21% said that they weren't sure.
Did it happen to identify any other political bodies, Democrats, Independents, or just the Republicans?
No, they were specifically asking Republican voters who they supported, like who were they supporting in the upcoming primaries, and then they were asking them a series of questions. So they actually, in the Iowa poll, have a breakdown depending on the candidate, on how likely they are to want to criminalize the practice of Islam, depending on the candidate that they support. And
I'm guessing heavy Carson supporters were probably more likely to vote against
Trump.
Yeah,
Trump and Carson were the top, and Rand Paul was the bottom.
Yeah, I wonder what this makes me wonder to myself also what other groups people would be sort of, let's outlaw this group and that group and the other group. Obviously,
I bet atheists they want.
Yeah, these people don't understand what a functioning republic is about.
Yeah,
like, they don't get it. They don't deserve the vote, frankly.
We just talked about this earlier. You got a whole group of scientists, liberal scientists, who want to criminalize climate deniers.
Yeah,
so,
I actually got an article on that. One of those, the guy that's sort of in charge of that, Shulka, he is apparently gets a great deal of money from the government for grants for climate research. So no wonder he wants to outlaw it.
Oh yeah.
You know, this is a very disturbing news story, Will, and I think it really points out that people in the United States, even people who are politically active, these are Republicans who are likely to vote. I imagine that were interviewed here.
These are people that claim to be constitutionalists.
Right.
These are
people who supposedly understand the First Amendment, which is freedom of religion, are here saying 40% of them in North Carolina saying that this should be banned, that Islam should be illegal in the United States. I mean, just if people are that easy, people who should know better in theory are that easily able to be swayed away from the principles of the supposedly founded this country. I mean, it's not going to be hard to sway them into all manner of different tyranny and fascism and socialism.
Well, there was another question on that poll that over 2/3 of the respondents responded in the affirmative, and the question was, do you believe that President Obama is waging a war on Christianity? You have 69% of Republicans in Iowa saying yes.
It's ridiculous.
They believe that there is a war being waged on Christianity by the state, and then another 40% of them saying, and the state should be waging it on Islam instead.
Wow. What does it even mean? What does it even mean that there's a war on Christianity by the state? What's that? I mean, what?
This is human.
Take it out of the schools. Take it out of the plaque on the back on the state house. Where it says the Ten Commandments or whatnot.
Isn't Alabama about to put a Ten Commandments plaque up?
I know they tried to do something just now in a town next to us, and they voted it down. All of them. I think it was they all got together and says, yeah, this is not something, we don't want Jesus in the government. So
but that has been going on forever. That's not an Obama thing. I mean, there's been a supposed separation of church and state for a long time.
And
this is
New
how
Hampshire
people
too.
are, though. People are, when they're in the majority, they're constantly believing they're in the minority. It's fascinating to hear how
the
people
persecuted majority,
right? It constantly, or the ones in power. I shouldn't say the majority, but those in power are constantly feeling like they're beset by those who aren't, and it's I believe an aspect of power, because if you have power, you have sort of more rights than the average person, and your expectation is therefore the average person is going to then attempt to get their rights back from you, so therefore you feel beset.
Will, great call from Muslims for Liberty. Assalamu alaikum to you, sir.
Yeah, guys, I'll actually be back in New Hampshire in about 10 days at the Republican Liberty Caucus National Convention in Nashua.
Cool. You should stick around for Keenvention. Thanks for the call tonight. There's more, and you can join us for it. It's Free Talk Live.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Know what's always on my mind, kid? Safety. I live, eat, and breathe safety. When I wake up in the morning, I have a large cup of safety with 2 sugars and a dash of safety. Safety matters. Your safety, my safety, everybody's safety. That's why I love Grainger. Grainger has the products, services, and resources to help keep our facility safe and our people safer. Now pass me one of those safety donuts over there. Call clickgrainger.com/safety or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The human body is more than 60% water. Your brain and muscles are 75% water. And your blood is 92% water. Water's vital to your body, and alkalizing your water is the key to keep it running at its best. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops keep your entire body healthy, boosts energy, promotes weight loss, and even fights cancer. Call 800-518-7615 or go to alkavision.com to find out more. That's alkavision.com.
No way. Is that a real bullet necklace?
No, it's a 9mm bullet necklace with matching earrings, you'll notice.
Those are awesome. Where'd you get them?
Dave found them at patriotnecklace.com.
Wow.
They have a variety of calibers and necklaces and earrings and keychains.
Patriotnecklace.com?
Patriotnecklace.com.
Your choice of caliber bullet includes a rugged American-made stainless steel dog tag chain. A percentage of every sale goes to military and service-related charities. And get a discount by entering GCN at checkout. Show your patriotism and support our troops with a bullet necklace from patriotnecklace.com.
Free Talk Live.
You guys live in a dream world.
No, sir, you're the one that lives in a dream world. You're the one that wants to have a police state in America where you get to determine who can come in and who can't. You want to have border patrols. You want to have checkpoints.
You want to let the entire third world into this country?
Sir, I'll answer that question by reading a short excerpt from a poem. Maybe you've heard of it. It happens to appear at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. It was about...
You're poor, you're tired, huddled masses.
Great, you are aware of it, yes.
Let them come in legally.
Oh, come on, the legally, Lou. The legal is such a cop-out. Now, hold on a second, because when your ancestors came across, and I don't know what they are, let's say they're Italian. When your ancestors came across, all they did was take you to Ellis Island, screw up your last name, sit you around for 3 days, and then bam, you're out the door. Now, legal is a huge pile of paperwork and tens of thousands of dollars.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
With my kid.
Free Talk Live. We've got a few moments remaining. And if you're on the line, we might have time to get you in here. If you don't get in tonight, no worries. We do it 7 nights a week. You can always call us tomorrow and join us at that time. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian here.
And Conan.
And Mark.
Don't forget to check out more of Conan at blacksheeprising.org. And don't forget your Keenvention tickets at keenvention.info. As we continue here with your calls and thoughts, let's go first to, we've got Ralph listening in New Jersey. We're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ralph. Come on, be nice, man.
That's always the trouble with white liberal guilt. Everyone else is a racist, and I'm just saying, okay. They put Obama as a man of virtue. He cannot never ever be a racist. But let's look at the situation going on right now. He delivered this address in the United Nations before Putin came in, and once again, this man just cannot resist the silent call of racism by bringing it up, bringing that subject matter up in his address at the UN. Now, this man is so obsessed, okay, that he's so hung up and fixated about the issue of race that he does it in either playing the race card, okay, race.
What was the way that the race card was played against Putin? I'm not familiar with this. What you're talking about?
Well, no, he's playing the race card on you.
On me?
Okay?
What?
As a white, he's playing the race card on white people. Okay.
I haven't heard that.
My question here is, why is this man so obsessed about the issue of race? Why do you think that is?
Because he can get away with it. I mean, a question is, how many of his speeches is he actually writing? A question you got to ask is, who is writing his speeches and what is their agenda? What are they trying to accomplish?
The polar opposite of him would be the white liberal guilt, right? That
Hillary Clinton or Bernie.
Well, yeah, you do agree with that, don't you? You know what I'm saying? You do agree with that because it takes one to know one. I mean, the both of you consider yourself libertarianism or libertarian. Give me a break. Libertarianism is another way of saying white liberal guilt. That's what it is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know that you've strung together any points here.
You cannot dispute the fact that you are a white liberal guilt. And
what am I guilty about? I mean, what should I be?
I promise you,
I'm not guilty, and I'm an anarchist, by the way. I'm not guilty. I don't feel guilt for.
I'm a voluntarist, but what am I supposed to feel guilt about? Exactly.
And this man, Obama.
No. You were talking about us. What do you think that we should be feeling? You were saying that we have white liberal guilt. What should we be feeling guilty about exactly?
I love my neighbor. I treat my neighbor fairly. I
love my neighbor. Yeah, and how many black friends do you have? How many black friends?
Well, we're kind of in a bad situation for that.
That's where the rubber meets the road. As far as giving the litmus test.
There are black people in New Hampshire, by the way. I see them a lot.
I can't say that I have a neighbor who's Manchester black, but I've been the best man at a black man's wedding.
If everyone else is a racist.
Mark, you did that because you're guilty. You're feeling guilty.
No,
that's why.
I swear I didn't make a toast as best man for a black man's wedding because I feel guilty.
Oh, please.
Is that all you've got, Ralph? Oh, please? You don't believe Mark? You think Mark is lying to you?
Well, how do I know? You're in New Hampshire.
Take my word for it or not. I didn't do it in New Hampshire. I did it in Sarasota, Florida.
But that same black friend was here in New Hampshire a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he was here. Because we're friends.
Really, they are there. And where in New Hampshire do I find them? Where?
There's about 3 of them in Keene.
There's more than that. I saw 3 all at once the other day.
I don't know why it makes a difference. It's of no consequence to me what color they are. That's why you're talking about this white liberal guilt that I don't have, and I don't feel like it makes a difference. I try not to judge people based on the color of their skin. So therefore, I'm not going to get all bent out of shape of the fact that there aren't very many living here.
I try not to as well. Like I said.
All right. Then we're on the same page with that. Ralph, thanks, man, for the call. I got to get some other folks on here to talk, but you can call anytime you want, any night.
Obama!
Why you got to make fun of the guy, man?
This man, because he says it over and over again. That's why.
Yeah, but I mean, you're making fun of his accent. I don't know. It seems like a low blow.
I wonder if he drives a taxi cab.
Why don't you make fun of the things he says rather than his accent? Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Let's get Dave in California on the line here. Dave, are you listening on the radio tonight in Eureka?
No, I'm not. They're just covering you Saturday now. I'm trying to get them to add more hours. They just cover you.
Oh, well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. So go ahead with your thoughts tonight, Dave.
It wasn't what I called about, but I wanted to share with you that most of the Muslim people I've known, good people, but their treatment of the Baha'is is unthinkable right now. That's
the treatment of the Baha'is?
Yes.
Where are we talking about? Where's this happening?
Well, the Baha'is are a religion that kind of broke away from the Muslims, and they're a very decent group of people, too. But the Muslims will stone them to death for that.
Where is that happening, though? Because not all Muslims are the same. I mean, our friend Will would not stone them at all. So, like, where is this specifically occurring?
Primarily Iran and over in the Middle East. I don't want to get into specifics here because the issue I called, I think, is a very important one, and that is I'm sure we do have a 1%, fraction of 1%, extremely wealthy in this country, and we do have a 98, 99% of struggling people working, trying to live within their means, some in real poverty and having a hell of a time of it. And yet, every time we have an election, the 1% manages to get 51% of the offices. And so I'm asking, how are we letting that happen?
It seems like the 1% is getting 99% of the offices.
I would agree.
Yeah,
It's 99%. They run both sides of the party.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to stop it.
Well, if in fact they are rigging the elections, and I think electronic voting is subject to that, then by God, we need to be looking at that square in the eye and doing something about it.
I don't think it really matters which side wins. They already own both sides, so that's why these big companies, the 1%, invest very heavily in both sides all the time. It doesn't really matter who wins. They're going to win They're going to win in the end.
Yeah, Dave, I've been there when they count the votes in my town, and in this town, all the votes go in a wooden box.
But we don't have the electronic voting. He's talking about the electronic voting.
Right. Well, I'm just making I've got a point that
he's in California.
I'm very clear on that. I'm making a point. And these votes are they're similar as they could possibly be to the the average voter out there with the electronic voting machines. I don't think that necessarily just because they can rig the vote with the electronic voting machines that they are rigging the vote.
Well, as Conan points out, it's rigged from the get-go because side A versus side B, it doesn't matter
There's
who
no
wins.
decision. There's no choice.
Yeah.
You're just choosing between crap sandwich 1 and crap sandwich 2.
So the solution is, and this may not be the solution for you, Dave. I mean, but for libertarians and for voluntarists or anarchists, as Conan describes himself, people who love liberty, the solution is to concentrate our activism in one place, and that's what the Free State Project is all about. I thank you for the call tonight. Let's talk to WebKeys, calling from New Hampshire on Skype. Hello, WebKeys. Do we have WebKeys going once? Hey, go ahead.
Hey, yes. Ian, how's it going?
Go ahead with your thoughts.
I'm calling about alternative medicine, and particularly as that applies to allergy season. So I've had allergies since I was a kid, and I had Claritin and I had Allegra when I was growing up and stuff like that. And then eventually I decided to look into alternative medicine, and I found on the internet that a lot of people were using alfalfa sprouts as well as local honey. Now, I've not tried local honey, but I have used alfalfa sprouts. And I used them yesterday, again, probably like the 4th or 5th year in a row.
What do you do, eat them or just rub them on your nose or something?
I eat them. I eat them raw.
Okay.
Don't feed too many to your horses.
Why?
I have
bloats them.
Or apples.
Not good for them.
I don't have horses, so that's not a problem.
That's good news. Okay.
So what is it, an immediate effect, or are you seeing good results?
Yeah, pretty much. It takes about, 20 or 30 minutes for me to start feeling the effects. And my hay fever goes away. And so I recommend this to everybody. You can get them at grocery stores for
You grow them yourself pretty cheap.
WebKeys is not making medical claims.
I don't grow my own. I would.
Well, no, bean sprouts are. I'm telling you, as far as like putting on salads and stuff, and they're really easy to grow and they're delicious.
Now, this is this personal case study that WebKeys is sharing with us here. You could not advertise his results if you were like an alfalfa sprout manufacturer. You couldn't do it. The FDA would come in and raid you.
You know what I did to fix my allergies?
What's that?
I moved out of Florida, moved to Tennessee. They got so much better.
Moving to New Hampshire.
Then I finally moved to New Hampshire. Allergies are gone.
Thanks for the call, WebKeys. I appreciate it. Moving to New Hampshire cleared up my acne as well. It's a miracle. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
If worst comes to worst, will you be prepared? You don't have to be a survivalist to prepare for the unexpected. Storing necessary supplies like food, water, and emergency equipment is simply taking responsibility for ourselves and our families when it counts the most. StrategicShelters.com offers emergency supplies and a secure way to store them, and provides protection for loved ones in the event of an extreme natural or man-made disaster. To find out more, visit StrategicShelters.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Rebel Love Show is next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.61 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,129 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $239. Antiwar.com reports, despite claiming previously that they had held all but the northernmost reaches of the central Marib province, the pro-Saudi forces on Monday claimed to have captured the Marib Dam in the southern part of the province, touting it as a big setback for the Shiite Houthis who control North Yemen. The dam itself is relatively unimportant, but control of it gives the pro-Saudi forces control over an area along a key highway connecting the south of the country, which they control, to the capital city of Sana'a. The goal of the Marib offense was to give access to this highway and advance on Sana'a. Though taking the dam is a step in that direction, the reports this weekend from elsewhere in the province are less upbeat, suggesting the Houthis have managed to bring the offensive to a standstill in northern parts of the province with minefields. Though neither side issued a statement on casualties, locals claim 22 Houthis were killed in the fighting around the dam. However, at this point, there is no way of confirming that. In Survivor Max by Davi Barker, 11-year-old Max must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire.